All right, folks. Welcome to episode 2 of what I'm calling Citizen Central. We started it out as a round table, but we came up with a better name, I think, one that the community got to vote on. And this month, I'm bringing in 4 different creators from, I think, kind of different sides of the spectrum in terms of excitement, hype, a little bit of saltiness. Now, nobody here is all one way or all the other, but we all have our own opinions. However, I'm looking for some nice, fun discussion today. So let's start with some introductions of our guests, of our lovely, amazing guests today. We'll start at the upper left-hand corner and go clockwise. Go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why we brought you here.
I'm SaltEMike, and I feel like I was brought here to just be the complainer.
We all got complaints.
I'm here to complain.
All right, the complaint game. Dig that.
DigThat32, and I am the antithesis of this guy. So I'm here to go the opposite direction.
All right, a little bit of pepper for that salt.
That's right.
Grumpy.
I'm Grumpy, and I'm here to support SaltEMike.
we're drawing the lines. We're already getting teams together.
Yes.
All right, and Jorunn, my friend.
And I'm Jorunn. I am the Bar Citizen guy and Yacht Club guy, and I am the community beige knight. Not a white knight because I do complain too, but yeah, I'm going to be on Dig's team. Fighting Salt.
All right,
Yes, sir.
Well,
Good team.
thank you all 4 of you for coming to this. Like I said, this is episode 2, so I'm still trying to figure everything out how it's going to go, but happy to have you all as guinea pigs. First, I guess I'll ask you all, because we're going to be talking about Star Citizen this whole time. So before we really dive into it, I do want to ask, is anybody else playing other games right now that have got them pumped that they've been enjoying?
Grumpy, you go ahead. I know what you're playing.
Okay. Also, is my camera working? Because
I'm about to fix that for you. There you go.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm playing other games now. I have split up with Star Citizen.
You're seeing other games?
Yeah, I'm seeing other games. Yeah,
Oh.
They're breaking
and
up.
it's been good. It's been good. I'm playing DCS and Squad and Tactical and Sims and stuff like that. So yeah.
Cool.
More than I've been playing Star Citizen.
Any of them kind of becoming your main game? Was Star Citizen your main game before? Would you have called it that? Yeah. So
yeah, for 2 years.
What's taking up all your time now?
DCS.
Yeah.
Honestly, DCS, because it's amazing.
There's a lot of crossover there too. I know a lot of people jump into that for the better flight sims. What's everybody else playing?
I can go if you want. I've been playing all sorts of stuff. Farthest Frontier, F1 Manager. I didn't even sleep 2 nights ago playing that game. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I don't know, just anything. A little bit of Star Citizen too, but just kind of we're towards the end of a patch cycle, and usually you've kind of done everything, so you just play some other stuff at that point. And wait for the new stuff.
It's the end, but
well, yeah,
we'll talk about that.
End, but, yeah.
Anybody else? Or you guys just chilling on Star Citizen for now?
I mostly just play Star Citizen when I play games. I guess I'm probably one of the least gamer in the community. I played a little bit of Solasta, Crown of the Magister, recently. But yeah, I don't play that many other games. I'm mostly all about the community. I spend all my time chatting. We're in 3 different Discords and Spectrum Concierge Chat.
Discord's a lot. 3 of them is a lot more. But
I can't imagine 3 of mine.
Yeah.
I'd quit.
I'm in about 130 channels, but
oh my gosh,
I don't manage about half a dozen channels myself, and Bar Citizen is pretty busy and exploding, so that's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. There's been
a lot of hype.
A lot going on with Bar Citizens. I believe a couple of you were saying you were going to a Bar Citizen coming up soon.
Yep, me and Jorunn in Orlando.
Yeah, nice.
Massive one.
I wish I'd gotten to go to that one. I lived in Orlando for a few years, but just never got the chance to get out to them. Yet to go to a Bar Citizen, but I look forward to it when I move back over there.
Were you there when the big one happened? That one, when was that? Jorunn?
2016 September. It
Get
was
out of here! It was 2016.
it was September 17th, the same day, 2016.
Okay.
Wow, that feels like yesterday, to be
Yeah.
honest.
That
The big one, Elizabeth.
Amazing how time flies.
was
Yeah.
right before I moved to Orlando. I moved there at the end of that year. So I missed it. I just barely missed it. Dig that. What have you been playing, man? You took a little bit of a break, giving yourself some time, right?
Yeah, I took a little. I'm fresh off a sabbatical from everything, not just Star Citizen, just everything, man. Sometimes you just got to fall back, recharge the battery, and then come in fresh.
Yep.
Yeah, I just did that too. I just took a week, 5 days, just did nothing.
You-
Yeah, it's good to have a
Recharge.
cleanse, man.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna try and hop into a family vacation here at the end of next week. I look forward to a little bit of a
There you go.
recharge. September going into the shall we say slow and frustrating season. And we can actually
The
get started on
Citizen Con.
Yeah. So let's jump into what's going on with Star Citizen now. I've given you guys kind of an overview of what we're going to be going over today. So we've got some opinionated topics. We've got some just kind of, we want to hear what you think of the game, what your hypothetical bests and worsts are, and what you're looking forward to in the game. But let's start with a current topic, the ship showdown. Now, I've never been that involved with the ship showdown, but I do follow the salt and the drama because, you know, what else is going to keep me entertained? Do any of you really get deep into it? Do you get into it, or are you kind of just watching from the sidelines?
No, I think it's a good thing.
I did.
I think it's cool, but I don't get involved because there's always so much drama around it, and it feels like it goes against like the spirit of what the thing would be about, is just like having fun, sharing what your favorite ship is, and that's it. It turns into this something that I feel like it shouldn't, and I just don't necessarily want to be involved with it, but I follow it. Sure.
I think it's tremendous fun. I think it's a little silly for people to get a little too overworked on
Yeah.
the drama. I think it was kind of it was really funny last year with the whole meme army behind the Argo and the Argo one. The year before that, we had the 890 versus the Dragonfly, and of course, the Dragonfly kicked the 890's ass. It didn't bother me at all. There were people that were really so angry, but it's a fun, silly popularity contest for just whoever wants to get excited. I think the creativity around it is just phenomenal. People make so much incredible stuff for the ships that they love. I think it's great fun. People shouldn't take it so seriously. Stop
I mean,
being so
people are gonna
serious.
people are gonna get angry because like they're passionate about their ships or the whole game. But like the last year's and the year before, I didn't see that really as a meme. Like everybody is saying, I saw it as like a statement of like the state of the community basically and what they think about the ship showdown and the whole like game and lack of progress in the game. So that's just me.
I think some people jump behind it for that. And I think some
Focus.
people jump behind it for other reasons.
Yeah.
And I think it all funneled to the one ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, though, it's another thing that I kind of appreciate that they continue to do to help bolster the community. Like you said, like ultimately it's a good thing because it gets people to just have some fun, and like there's not really anything riding on it other than a couple of skins and like some bragging rights. It's just another highlight of kind of what I like about how CIG treats the community. You know, we can talk all about the communication aspects and everything, but I've always appreciated how much they do to try and give the community things to do together and things to rally behind.
Yeah, no, you know what? Sorry to cut in, but
No.
yeah, I think it's pretty dope that they give the folks get a community things to rally behind. Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like people with their sports teams. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're not like a big football fan, if you live in Florida, you're probably a Dolphins fan. You're gonna root for the Dolphins, and if you like the Pisces, you're gonna vote up the Pisces, man. It's just a bunch of fun. Do people take it a little further than they should? Yeah, they do. But Hey, rah sis boom bob, man. I think the community can handle it.
That's what we're all about, taking things too far. That's why we're still here in alpha. We like to keep going. Does anybody have any favorites they want to see win?
PTV.
I think it won.
I wish we could vote on
the
that
mule,
because that would be my vote for real.
The mule.
I
Okay.
think the Pisces is cool. It's
I do like the mule.
I think the Pisces gets used in so many scenarios. Why not?
Yeah.
Dude, the Pisces is the best starter ship. Like,
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong.
I really wanted the 135 to dethrone it because it had the bed, and I think it looks better. But the Pisces is just, you can't beat those extra seats and the fact that there's still cargo space. It's a solid ship.
It's like a little
And
Deep Space Nine
ones.
runabout.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many great ships. I'm excited about the Mule. I'm excited about the Terrapin. I'm excited about the Pisces, the 400, the 600, poor little Terrapin.
I didn't even think about the Terrapin. Would love to see the turtle get a skin.
Right?
Like a
Nobody
very
has any.
yeah, definitely not
I needed to
gameplay.
get some gameplay before
Yeah,
I get a skin,
I was
man.
gonna say, like, hey, it can scan, okay? It's the same as everything else. All right, so let's jump into our in-depth conversation. I think the first thing, let's just talk about 318. It's there. Everybody's thinking about it. 318 has a surprising amount of content to some people. To others, maybe not as much, but it's got a decent amount of additions in certain places. And for so far, we've got a roadmap roundup coming up in a couple of minutes, so we might be eating these words after the show. But at least so far, we haven't seen anything really look like it's going to get pushed out, besides maybe the cargo refactor. But again, we heard that mentioned last week. So considering how much there is going on with 318, but also looking at the fact that it's nowhere to be seen, what's your guys' current thoughts on it? Go ham.
On 318?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a broad question right there, man.
Yeah, real broad. Okay, let's start with this. How do you feel about the actual content that's coming in the update? Do you have any favorites, any dislikes, anything you think is actually going to change the game, or are you pretty lackluster on it?
Going to change it dramatically and having real persistence. I'm not attached to any specific other cards that are coming out, and may or may not actually happen as we know once we get to a new patch line. Things get added, things get dropped, but persistence is going to be just a tremendous change, and very excited about it. And I don't have these hard attachments to timelines, so I don't get as bothered.
I think surprisingly, I don't think many people think I would agree with Jorunn on anything, but I absolutely agree with this. It's the idea of well, no, because people like always pit us against each other or whatever, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So the idea of 318, and this is why I kind of got really upset about them not communicating on any delays about it and stuff like that, is the idea behind PES and what they said in the letter for the chairman about how much of it is their initial work towards server meshing and all these things. There's a lot of haters around Star Citizen. There's a lot of problems with Star Citizen's development over the years, and we're coming up to like this really key point of whether or not Star Citizen is possible, and what some of the things that they're trying to do, whether or not it's possible, right? And this is one of those major pieces to that puzzle. And then, whether it's buggy, crashy, any of that stuff is sort of irrelevant as long as you can continue to show that Star Citizen has that potential. Because I think where I'm at, and where maybe somebody like Grumpy's at as well, is the potential that Star Citizen has had up to this point has now been kind of dried up by the fact that we haven't moved forward with the tech to show the possibilities of what it could be. So the potential of Star Citizen right now is amazing looking planets, amazing looking locations, beautiful ships, interiors, things like that. But a lot of people backed for more. A lot of people backed for other things, more players, better servers, competent AI, things like that. That
We just got 100
PES works.
players.
Yeah, more than 100 players, right? Like
Yeah.
all those things working towards that, and that's the important thing about PES, and about 318 for me is to show that the possibility is still there. Because if you can't, then I don't know why any of us would be here personally. I know,
Yeah.
like Jorunn says, he mostly focuses on the community and stuff like that, but still, there wouldn't be a community here if we didn't have the game to look forward to. So
Yeah, that's
And a lot
fair.
of people that enjoy
Yeah.
playing.
yeah, I mean, I'm gonna look and see what other cards are there, but I honestly, like Jorunn, don't
Cargo
look at
refactor.
any of them.
Yeah,
That's gonna be a big
cargo
one.
That is a
refactor,
big one, yeah.
Yeah.
mi-
Salvage, of course. The
Salvage
tier
can
0.
eat
Yeah,
rocks.
Salvage
Lasers.
can get delayed again.
yeah, and
Don't say it.
whenever it does come, it's going to be very early implementation, tier 0 with like 1, 0.5 or whatever. And one thing I'm trying to also kind of adjust people's expectations is that it's going to be a buggy mess for the
Oh,
next
yeah.
year. PES is a complete changing a replacement of the foundation database structure of the whole game. And like the reason that they said it's, and they're going to have it in Evocati and PTU for 3+ months, I think 3 is probably optimistic, is that it's such a fundamental change. And part of why it's taking so long for all these things to happen is that they're trying to keep it playable while they're changing it. I mean, they can shut it down and change things faster, but I don't think anybody'd be happy with it just being turned off for a year. So once we eventually get to 318, it's going to be probably buggier than it is now, and then server meshing is probably going to be even buggier after that. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough road.
You smile, Grumpy. I
Yeah,
think it should be
Grumpy, what
shut
do you
down for a year.
what do you Let's watch
Yeah,
it.
well, I mean, I'm just like, I know all of that, and I made a video about that. Like, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. Like, but I don't like. You talked about potential, I just saw a comment like half an hour ago on my channel. Somebody said that like potential is unrealized ability, basically. Let me see. Yeah, unrealized ability. And yeah, like if you add PS and server meshing to this buggy mess that we have right now, it's gonna be even buggier, and like it's just piling up, and I don't see like when it's gonna get fixed. Like when are they gonna have enough time to fix all the issues with the game? Because they have to balance stuff, they have to still like make new ships, make new gameplay loops, and all of that, and everything is affecting everything. And like we're just standing on like a, I don't know, a chair that's standing on one leg, basically.
At beta, that's when they're going to do it. At beta, and Clive Johnson just posted on Spectrum. That's when they're going to do it, like just a few days ago.
Okay, I'm gonna wait and see, I guess.
I disagree, and here's why: is I think that PES is part of the solution to fixing a lot of those problems. I think server meshing is part of the solution. And I know I'm kind of saying what they say, and I don't want to repeat what they say because we know how much validity like we can have in that all the time. No, yeah, not really, but I do think that part of the idea behind PES is the big thing for me is that there's no more excuses. Right?
Yeah.
You can't excuse poor servers once we hit that state, right? And they've used it as this crutch, I think, and it could be true, it could not be true. It could be true, it could not be true, but like just interacting with developers about anything, the first immediate thing they'll say about a certain bug with a certain thing will be probably the servers. We can't reproduce, blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Once it's something that we saw with, I can't remember if it was 315 or 316, where we were straight stable. All of a sudden, all these bugs started coming to the surface because the servers weren't constantly resetting themselves, right? And fixing those issues. This is like the same thing for me. That's my hope. That's my, like, in a perfect world, that's how I hope things will work. I do see where you're coming from, but yeah. What's that, Jorunn? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't expect it to fix the servers. I think it'll help with crash recovery. And I don't know about everybody else's experiences, but 30K crash recovery for me has been absolutely phenomenal for quite a while now since they put in the the heartbeat tick thing. I'm almost like, at least 90%, 90+% of the time, my ship is back at the station with everything on it that I had loaded onto it more than a few minutes prior to the crash.
God, I wish I've had your experience.
I'm gonna go with different direction here.
Differently for different people. Yeah, Dave.
Yeah.
Because you guys are getting to the underlying tech and the really the really techie specky stuff. I think of the game as far as when the new stuff is coming. I don't think of it in terms of stability. I think of it in terms of, is this going to be fun? And I know that sounds like I'm leading into a positive thing. This is going to be my one negative thing. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Security post Korea. I'm not really signing up. I'm not co-signing on that, man.
Oh
Are they
no,
taking away?
that's
All
Yeah, they're taking away all
it's a fun
the places
topic.
to hack away your crime stat.
yeah.
And then
Ooh.
putting it all at Korea, where everybody's obviously going to be camping now. I'm going to be selling tents and Gatorade over
Am I the
there.
only one who likes this?
I guess so.
Well,
Yeah.
You one of those people who's going to be camping there?
You
Not-
like
not-
accidental crime stats?
No, of course not. Right? There's a lot of. I don't think we got all the information on that. Okay. Second, the thing that the PvP community at least asked for was to funnel players to certain locations. So I think they saw that Jumptown worked pretty well. It was a lot of fun for that. And they looked for an opportunity to do that again. And Security Post Korea always was. And now they're trying to maybe solidify it more to have it be that way. There's so many problems with what they've communicated so far. The idea of like, how do you even land? They want it to be like this FPS thing, but I still respect at least the intention of, we still only have 100 players on a server, and this is an MMO. This is a combat involved MMO, right? I know we're not always supposed to interact with each other, but they do want to create scenarios where we do, and this is their attempt at doing it. It's not good. There's lots of problems, but I think it'll be more fun than you think it would be, because it's like Jumptown.
If you want that gameplay, but
Yes.
if you don't,
If you just want to
that
play your
Right,
crime
right.
stat,
You have nothing.
Then you should. Then
yeah,
you
if
should.
you just have an accidental crime stat from bumping your ship with the vehicle, from accidentally
thoughts,
bumping
yeah.
the station, from landing,
landing on a pad.
from
Yeah.
there's I had a
That's
post
why I think
with
we're not getting all the information.
eight different things. Yeah, and I'd like a little more information, but I got pretty upset, and because I do a lot of shenanigans with a lot of people, and just various things will give you a crime stat, and whoever ends up getting an accidental crime stat has to go and take 20-30 minutes out of their playtime to go hack it at Korea, if everything goes well and they don't end up in Klesher for an hour and a half.
But
and
like,
The Klesher is going to be
gotta log out.
overpopulated by
Yeah,
all
on
the
a
people that
100
don't want
player
to get into
server.
PvP.
yeah,
Oh no.
there's gonna be like on each server there's gonna be at least one org camping Korea, and then you're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
have like Klesher. There's gonna be basically a crab bucket. Like
Yeah.
people are just gonna stab each other to get out, and like
And the thing about by camping it is
Yeah.
they're all going to be in ships, and that's the part that sucks about it. Is you're never going to be able to get out of your ship.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
never going to be able to get out of your ship in FPS, which is the intention of that location.
and the
See, if
weirdest
they
thing
made the
is
dragonflies where you couldn't detect the dragonflies, it would behoove you to take like a cuddy or something that could hold it, park way the hell out, get your dragonfly, and fly in.
Yeah, those turrets are already brutal, and they're going to make them worse.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
weirdest thing is like the dispenser that they're gonna implement there, like from Jumptown, that's gonna like give you drugs and all that. How are you supposed to get those drugs into your ship if you can't park the ship on Korea?
Yeah.
I
And
don't
that's
get
why I
it.
think like there's
Yeah,
no
that's true.
way they're this dumb. That's
You're saying
what,
it can't be like that.
like
like we're
they can't-
thinking.
like
I
they
wanna
can't be
think like
this
that.
Stupid. It can't be this stupid.
Oh, salty.
But I imagine that things like bumping your ship and stuff like that, if they don't make a change to the ability to like pay off that crime stat, another thing. They can't be this dumb. Right?
I hope
They
not.
just
We
can't
have
be
that
this-
now.
two, you should
We
be
can
able to
pay
pay
those
off.
off now up to like level 2, depending on if it's a
Not-
violent
not
crime
level
or not.
2, just- yeah, level 1s, but
Yeah.
a lot of people will get a level 2, and you can't pay it off.
Hmm.
You can do a
Yeah, so-
level 2 if it's not a violent crime.
So
Like
if it's
you
not
know,
a
stacked up. Go
so
ahead.
if it's not a level 1, then you don't have to go to Korea. Or sorry, if it is a level 1, you don't have to go to Korea.
No,
Correct.
Yeah.
you just pay it off.
Okay, good. So that's
A lot
something.
will give you a level 2.
And I think that should be adjusted up and finagled a little bit, and
Agreed.
then you have your scenario where, sorry, at this point, if you're accidentally shooting a guard, you're an idiot. With you got carrots over the head, all that stuff, that's on you. Deal with it.
I'm
And then
fine with that.
I agree about the accidentally bumping somebody, things like that.
Yeah.
We just have to, you just got to do a better job
Honestly,
with that stuff.
I
Yeah.
don't like
Honestly,
the carrots.
Yeah.
If it was like if you have like a CS5 and then like if they made it so if you get a CS3 you can go to the UGF bunkers, and then if you get a like CS4 or 5 then you have to go to Korea, that would be much better, like at least for the like new players, because like new players are gonna get crime stats whatever they do, like they're gonna take a personal mission,
Yeah.
they're gonna like, and then the only way to clear their crime stat is to go to Korea, and yeah, they're just gonna be dead.
They should have
Most
like
likely
a,
they
a
wouldn't know
fixer.
anyway.
They should have like a fixer, like for guys who can't handle because it's gonna be crazy PvP at Korea. They should have like a fixer. You pay an absorbent amount, and then they give you like, all right, you go take this dude out. Then I'll take care of your crime stat, or make it easier for you to kill your crime stat. Because I think right now, like new people going to Korea, there's no way they're gonna be successful over there.
Yeah, you're
I'm
gonna need
even
a
right
team.
now.
quitting until
Even
it's
right
over.
now, yeah.
You're definitely gonna need help with this new setup. But that's
I mean, it's the same thing at JT. New people lose their mind when you attack them at JT. Why are you griefing? Like, are you?
Yes.
that's
your
fair, but
own
that's
choice.
also that's Jumptown. Yeah, that's an optional place to go. You don't have a
this is true,
waypoint.
yeah.
You don't have a
If you make a dumb
waypoint telling you
decision-
you have to go here to continue to play how you'd like.
Yeah, if you make a dumb decision, then that's on you. It's like shooting a guard. If I shoot a guard accidentally doing bunkers, because I do a lot of bunkers, and it's rare for me to shoot a guard. If I do it, then sure, that's on me. But like I had one time where the mission just bugged out, and all of a sudden they thought I was a bad guy, and I got shot, and I ended up in Flesher for an hour and a half. It's like the mission bugged out. That's annoying.
Sometimes it's not on you though. Sometimes they'll run or teleport right in front of your fire lane.
Yeah. I think.
But you still, yeah,
I mean,
you have
it's
to
an
be
alpha,
extra,
guys.
extra careful.
God dang it.
Right? You should
Oh,
have
it
more
is. I'm
patience.
just saying.
I
You
these-
should lower
I
your
don't know if we're ready
expectations,
for what
right?
they're proposing.
Maybe
All
we
right,
should
I'm
lower
done.
our
I'm out.
expectations a little bit.
No, but really, I think this is kind of also just reminding me of how annoying the law system is in general, because they put it in a few years ago and we got the prison system and it was like, okay, this is the bones. I see how this is going to develop. But in my opinion, it's been too long since they've given us a real update to the crime stat system, especially now that Reputation is in the game. But do you guys see any clear things that they could do to fix the law system? Because the Korea stuff is one thing. Putting missions into the prison, sure, that makes it more fun for people who are actually going to prison. But in terms of getting crimes or anything like that, like what's something that you think they could fix?
That's a
They should
very
have a
long
court.
First
Single-
off, you should get a crime stat if you like ram or kill a guy and then alt F4. That's one of the things that like needs to change. That's one of the first things that needs to change.
Yeah, a lot of times people are the and I hate to use this term, I'm not using it lightly, but griefers that are pad ramming. I'm not non-consensual PvP people, but people that are pad ramming.
No,
The person
that is straight
Are
up.
people
That is
still
griefing.
doing that?
Yeah.
No, yeah, no,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it
A lot.
still happens. I'm mostly over at Olisar, so I avoid Olisar. So I have
There's
Yeah, those are
there's
like the
actually
only
a
pads
few
to ram
tutorials and how-tos on YouTube how to do that.
yeah,
it's
how to give somebody else crime stat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
It's it's all
Yep.
it's a whole group of community, and this is how you can shoot somebody else and they get the crime stat. This is how you can pad ram somebody else and they get the crime
What?
stat.
Yeah,
And
it's an
that's one of
annoying
those
one.
things that pisses me off. Yeah, and it's like this should not. I understand that it's got to be a very complex programming challenge to determine, okay, who's the aggressor. And it's like I'm not a programmer, so I don't know what's involved, and it's like how do you program the game to know, okay, well, this person crashed into this person intentionally to pad ram them, and then you don't get those same types of problems from loading your vehicle into your ship or a friend ship.
See, they need a instant replay with a human magistrate or judge, so they can take a look at the replay and decide whether or not you go to jail.
Yeah, they go sit in court.
Yo, we seen what you did, Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy, or something.
I just think you have to communicate the scenarios like that as much as possible. Like, this is fun, this is not fun. I think you're starting to see if I'm allowed at a UGF and somebody else isn't, I can defend myself and won't get a crime stat. Like, it's building up slowly, but I think they went for a way too complicated system for a game that can't handle it, and in a game that's in flux the way that it is, with a lot of things being added and constantly changing. It's too hard to keep up with.
You
That's
think
for 3.18, right? This SPK stuff.
Yeah.
Or is that 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
Salty?
Yeah, well,
But
maybe
it's still,
they
like,
feel like it can
tier
handle
1,
it.
right?
I don't know what they got under the wrapper.
Because like
So-
CAG does tier 1 things. Like I don't know when the crime stats like became a thing, but like I from what I understand, it's still like a tier 1 or tier 2 or whatever. It's not a finished thing.
Yeah.
Like they do docking colors because they want to do docking colors, and then like they do docking for 2 ships, and that's it. And then like it's a proof of concept. So I guess that like crime stat system is just like a proof of concept.
Yeah, it's
Like the
early
whole game,
2.0,
basically.
and some of these things make it incredibly more painful for people that are just trying to play. And
Yeah.
The entire game makes it painful for people who are just trying to play because of exactly what Grumpy said. It's the expectations that people have are always skewed, or no matter what, if you always put a system in that, like Grumpy said, it's just proof of concept. When they're looking for feedback for things, did it work? Did it not? Is there a loss system? Is there not? Did you go to jail? Did you not? Were you able to sell something, or could you not? This, like, we all know the selling mechanic is terrible. Like, it's not a good experience. It's gonna get worked on. It's gonna get better at some point. But all they did, now they can go and communicate. You can sell stuff in game, and they can communicate that, or they can just say it's there and we can build upon it later. And that's all they're doing, is continuing to add those things and just say, okay, it's there. There's medical gameplay, there's selling, there's an inventory system, right? All these are obviously works in progress, and they'll come back to it. But it's, as any new player coming into this game, there is no way, without spending the amount of time that like Jorunn spends in the community talking to people and all those things, which, Jorunn, you have to respect that most people won't be investing this much time in these kind of things. There's no way you would be able to understand the full breadth of what you're getting into before you get into it.
100%. And you know, and I think we're all here in the positions that we're in because we are far more invested emotionally in the community to give back and express our opinions and make content, and follow it on a daily basis, or however often people can follow it. And most people don't have that much time, and they don't go out and find communities that'll help answer their questions. And I got into to Ollie's Discord. So everybody's familiar with him. He's been making a ton of great new content, really super positive. And Tomatoes had him on the show several times. I thought that was a great show. Just the other day, getting his 90-day experience after 80 videos.
Yeah.
How much he still enjoys it, or is kind of going through that honeymoon period. His Discord is so full of so many brand new players that are just coming in because of his content, and I like to get that feedback from brand new people that are coming in completely fresh, completely new, what their experiences and feedback are, what their frustrations are, and then there's people that have been in there playing as new players for 2 months, 3 months, and how they're feeling about things. So it's interesting to see what a fresh and exciting perspective that they have, before they end up dead inside, like
Salty.
Yeah. They go through the phase.
Salty don't even make big expressions anymore. He just goes.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. They all end up coming back to being like, oh man, that guy was an asshole, but he might have been right.
I had a couple things I
A
agree
couple
with.
things that might have been right.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about the trading and the inventory. One of the things, switching gears a little bit here, one of the things that I wanted to get from each of you was your opinion on the careers available to us in the game: mercenary work, bounty hunting, trading, mining, whatever it is. Which one do you like the most currently, and which do you actually feel will be the most interesting in the future when it is a thing?
I'll let the more positive people speak first.
I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll go. I'm sorry. Go ahead, my man.
No, go ahead, Dick.
Well, trading used to be my bread and butter. Oh man, boy, did I spend hours trading until we all started dipping out of the same well, and then it just became untenable.
Yeah.
But looking to the future, and I'm not even 100% sure that this is going to be a thing. But anybody that's ever watched any of my streams knows my goals in life, in Star Citizen life, is to be able to cook on the 890 jump, man. I just want to grab some nasty looking plants from Hurston and all over the place, and then put them in that stainless steel kitchen, and then cook up something that gives you some buffs or some other kind of, I don't know, benefit that we haven't even seen yet. Stuff like that, because I'm all about doing, like, there's so many combat people out there. I just want to live my best life in Star Citizen, and even something menial like that would be outstanding to me, man.
You're pretty outside the combat scene then.
Yeah, I'm not a big combat guy. I mean, don't test me, man. Try Jesus, don't try me. But yeah, man, I think there's more to it than that. I done played enough Grand Theft Auto and all the shooters, and now I just want to chill out and chop up some vegetables and make something good.
Oh, I get that. The veggies are calling.
Yeah, I think my experience and enjoyment and future vision is really more that way too, of escaping into this science fiction universe and just exploring and spending time with friends and enjoying these amazing spaceships. And I love spending time flying spaceships around. Love spending time with my friends, and we have bar hops. Sometimes we have shenanigans. We do and just a lot of casual things. Sometimes we do some combat things. I've been running a lot of bunkers lately. That's a lot of fun. I like cargo trading. I haven't done it in 317, but I did. I took 2 years off. I love cargo, and I took 2 years off because it was just so frustrating until the 30K recovery came in. And then in 315 and 316, I ran tons of cargo and just loved it. Had a great time. Other things, I don't do a lot of other things in the verse right now. I'm not really a PvP kind of person, and
So
enjoy the time.
you're more about the actual MMO aspect of it, as opposed to just hanging out with, or as opposed to doing like gameplay loops, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where the big dichotomy is, where people that want a hardcore game that works and gameplay loops and these things, they're not done yet, and they're barely laying the foundations for these things, and we're really years away from really having that being, I think, working well. And so people get really frustrated. And Mike, you've been wanting those things since, and how long have you been in the community?
Yeah, a long
2013?
time. And the only thing I would respond to that with is, how many years have you been saying they're years away? Like, at what point is it acceptable to be frustrated by that, and at what point is it not? And I think at some point you just have to be like, damn, like, this is frustrating. I've been recently watching, like, this is getting off topic a little bit. I'll make it as quickly as possible. I've recently been watching like other MMO channels and watching videos about other MMOs and their experiences and how long those games were in development. A lot of MMOs are in development for a long time. This one in particular is way more ambitious than all of those combined. So the idea of it being in development for as long as it is sort of understandable if you look at it from that perspective. Okay. So like the amount of time and the communication of like, just be patient and all that stuff is fine to an extent, but you are very lucky to have the experiences that you want out of the game already. And a lot of people got into the game and were communicated in any way that they happen to hear it, whether it was from Chris Roberts, Xylo, a post on Spectrum, a post on the Comlink, to where that may have been different for them. And it is what it is. Like the idea of I was hoping these things would be here sooner is there is no way that I couldn't go back to your tweets or to a Discord post or something like that where you would have thought that something would have been here sooner, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So it's just like the idea where like
absolutely.
these frustrations come
Had a
from
major
is
adjustment.
is valid, right? And I've also made some adjustments in my expectations and things like that too. But I don't devalidate people's frustrations about the project. They're doing it in a way that they're making the game in a way that nobody would, right? You would never make the game playable and then try and bring in something like PES. Like that's not how you would typically develop a game, and it's extending the length and making it more complicated and more difficult than it should be. And it is what it is. But yeah, I'm getting off topic. If I want to jump in, I want to let you finish. I'm sorry.
You made a good point, though. That's something I hadn't thought about. You said he's very lucky that the gameplay that he like is in the game.
Yes,
I hadn't
and I
thought
respect
about that.
that. For
I hadn't
him,
thought about that.
I expect the same.
I
respect
just
for me.
realized the same thing. Like, I understand why I'm grumpy and he's salty. Because like we want a game and you guys want like. Did you ever play Second Life or have you seen Second
Jorunn
Life?
did.
Yeah.
I have been in Second Life since 2007. Consistently. I never
So
really
yeah,
taken
so I
a
guess
break.
that's
It is
that
it is
kind
my
of
new
an
Second Life.
experience that you're
I realized
searching
that
for.
in 2016, and that's why I got the 890. And when it changed from, I started off playing an Arena Commander in my 350R, and it's like, oh, this is a great game. And then I realized, like, when I learned more about what the future universe is going to be, and I still am very excited about the far distant future universe where we have dozens of star systems and we have all these things in place, and we can go and explore beautiful places and Cassell and Helios and Terra and all these incredible planets that we're going to have. Seeing aliens in the verse and real Banu and real Xi'an. Those
But
things are so far away. Yeah, and Second Life really more shaped me than being a gamer.
it and
So
it sounds like that the social aspect of Second Life is kind of what crosses over into the MMO for you and makes the game more enjoyable. And I see that sort of that separation between people who are looking for a specific aspect of Star Citizen, something that you can't get in another game, right? Like you said, Second Life offers that. Many MMOs also offer that sort of friendship, kind of get to hang out and just go out and do things, right? But Star Citizen talks about offering damage maps and systemic damage and the ability to control ships and multi-crew and all these things, and that's the stuff that's really missing. So I see where you're coming from, Salty and Grumpy, when you say that there are parts of the game.
Star Citizen is a catch-all game. Like it has spaceships, it has FPS
It's attempting
combat.
to be.
Yeah, and it's attempting to be, and like we have never seen a game like that before. Like I can't remember a single game like on a smaller scale, maybe with like Battlefield or Squad and stuff like that. But like on this scale, no, and that's like frustrating and also scary. Because like, is it ever gonna be that like what they promised? But like your question was about what was it?
Careers.
Careers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I pledged the first time, I was like, I wanted to be a bounty hunter, like Mando, basically. And my idea was, or my fantasy was to like, I don't know, go to a distant moon in a distant system, land right next to a bar, and there's like a bunch of aliens there, and there's a guy that I need to apprehend or kill, and that's it. So that's my idea of how or what I want from this game, which is like going to be different from Mike's idea or Jones or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
Space
and
that's
Battle
like-
07.
yeah.
yeah, and I'll always respect the like. I have never made fun of, and if I did it, it was never my intention to, the idea of going to a ship meetup, hanging out on the 890 jump. All that stuff's great. If anything, I've defended the fact that I think there needs to be a place where you could do those things and socialize and not have to worry about somebody pad ramming you, somebody doing all these things and
An
stuff like
A2.
that. Yeah, you should, an A2, all that stuff. You should be able to enjoy those things. And I never feel that somebody who played MMOs, somebody who played actual video games that have like progression and purpose behind them and all these things. And I'll go into the idea about my game mechanic. My game mechanic would be mining, right? Or salvage or anything industry based. But what has to be behind that, and why I don't think any of it's good right now, is the economy and the purpose behind doing it. Why would I do those things? That's what I got out of MMOs. That's what I got out of games. That's what I was hoping to get out of this one. And I don't expect any of that stuff now. My expectations are this. They're hovering, they're doing whatever they need to do to provide whatever little content for everybody to check out while they get PES, while they get server meshing. And if after that they're not working towards those key, not game loops, but actual pillars of video games, period, that's when, yeah, the fundamentals of a game, that's when I would be done. I just think that there are better ways to engage the player base with their current game and simpler ways to engage you with the game now, like what they do at Jumptown, a super simple mission that is a diamond that says go here and then see what happens. And that's why I'm like sort of behind the idea of Security Post Korea. Is it's just another example of go here and let's see what happens after that. I think we both see there's probably some issues with what might happen in all sorts of different ways, but I'd rather that than what we've, oh, go here, try to do this mission that is obviously going to be broken by everything server related, bugs, whatever you want to call it. And yeah,
So you're
that's
where
I'm at.
You're not talking about missions. You're talking about objectives.
Nope.
Open-ended objectives.
Like what exactly? Like one of the things in the doc was, "What's your favorite mission?" or "What's your most ideal mission?" Right?
Yeah.
And that is not how I look at this game at all. There's lots of questing in MMOs. There's lots of things like that. But what I would love is maybe doing certain missions with the idea behind, what does that mission reward? Why do I need those things?
Mhm.
It's not the actual action of the mission. It's why you do it in the first place that matters.
So a better way maybe to phrase the question is, what kind of scenario do you want to see play out? The mission, instead of being told to go and take over a base, the mission would be to say, hey, there is a special prototype ship that's being held at this base. You can steal it if you want, and then you kind of have to figure out how to go and do that.
Not necessarily. The mission could be as simple as what the missions that we have now.
Okay.
Right? The go and take this box, put it over here. It's after that, it's why am I doing it? What do I gain from reputation from it? Or what rewards do I get from that? How does that help me and my friends playing together? Do I get a cool component that we can all use and it is a better experience? Maybe goes through certain shields that we're struggling with some NPC related mission. Maybe some really good PvPers have better gear, and this gear makes it a better scenario for that kind of stuff. It's literally the foundation of every MMO I've ever played. Right? Is there's people that are ahead of you, and you're doing the catch up to try to catch up to them. And some people think that that's like not good, but it's what drives me, and I can only say what I enjoy out of games.
For example, like the FR86 or whatever it's called, the size 3 for the hammerheads, the shield components.
Right?
Yeah. So if there was a possibility of the hammerheads that we kill in the game, that like they would drop, or you would salvage those ship components, and instead of you going and buying it for like $500,000, you can just get it from the hammerhead or from a mission that has that hammerhead with that component. That would be cool.
Yeah, look at
That
what
would be really good.
me and my org have been doing with railguns, right? If you guys don't know, we knew that there was a wipe. We knew people wanted them for Jumptown, so we went around, we gathered them up, and we sold them to player orgs.
Nice.
There's
Nice.
no mission involved there. We made our own game, but the game provided you a reason to do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's fair.
It's the economy, bro.
Yeah, it's
Economy
the
needs to happen.
connectivity between economy, the reputation, like you said, some sort of, I guess this is part of the economy, but some sort of like accountability for items. You can't just take a bunch of steel from one moon and transport it to a planet and then nothing changes about that moon or the steel that's being transported. I agree with you there.
Like
That's
DigThat has been doing that kind of stuff forever, and there's nothing. It's fun, but I would imagine most of the time, Dig, you're streaming while you do it. You're watching Netflix while you do it, right? And it's it doesn't have to be engaging gameplay. But there were people stopped doing it because the only reason to do it was watch your money go up, and if there's no sink to make your money go down, and yeah, it kind of becomes a situation where it just stagnates,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
we don't have that finished game to unstagnate everything.
going back to what you said before, Mike, about how they've always had sort of the excuse of the servers and kind of how that's caused problems. That's where I feel like I am at the same time with you, and the idea of the stagnation and just the sort of, I think a lot of people have gotten onto that line of thinking that server meshing is sort of not necessarily a plug. It's not like there's a bunch of content that's held up by server meshing, but the priorities that they have set change once server meshing is in a working state. I think that's what right. And that's what I'm looking at. Once that kind of stuff is done, it's that connectivity, that economy and reputation stuff, the underlying ability to actually make the game matter. That's where I'm looking. And going back to that, sorry to change the topic on y'all again, but going back to that, I would like to hear from each of you kind of what is the main thing that because after server meshing, we're sort of out in the wild, you know? We knew as of 2017 what the sort of path to release was, and server meshing, dynamic server meshing were kind of the last little bits, but obviously there's still a lot left to go into this game. What is the thing that you're really going to be looking at after we see, let's say 4.0 reach a stable build? Grumpy, I want to start with you.
Oof.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to see. I guess I just want to see more progress, because like what Mike said is like completely true. Like there's no excuses after that, but also there is an excuse of Squadron 42, and that's always going to be an excuse. So I really don't know. Like I would love to see some other like gameplay loops that they promised. I would love to see more missions, like ground missions, because currently we have the same bunkers over and over again, like across the universe. And I guess that's because it's just like one model, and it's easier for the server to have just one model that it just like spawns everywhere.
They're rebuilding those right now in one of the monthly reports.
Yeah,
Right.
but like they also showed us the outposts, the abandoned outposts, and those were amazing. Like the pictures were amazing, and then we saw them in the game, and at least I was like, "What is this? This is too small. This is just like what?" But yeah, like I don't know. I really like. I'm here for the long rides, but I also have no idea. Like I just wanna see Pyro, and then I'll see like what's gonna happen.
What about like flight
I guess.
combat stuff for you? Because you would imagine that team can just kind of, by that point, focus on exclusively like balance the player experience and that the flight experience a lot more than
mean,
what we're seeing now.
So like I came from like a sim background, and I played like War Thunder simulation battles and IL-2 and all of that. So I don't think that like space combat is ever gonna be as like in depth as could be if it was like completely done like completely the other way. Like if the Ion was a sniper and it would be really bad at short range, but at long range it would just like decimate everyone, and you had to get close to him. But yeah, like I don't know. I want to see what they're going to do with the aerodynamics, because that's going to be a big thing. Because currently, all the spaceships are just flying like flying saucers, and it's just so unrealistic, and there's no physics to it. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I like that grab bag of goods. That was all. It's all stuff I'm excited to see, especially the aerodynamics, control surfaces. I don't know about all of you, but I hated hover mode back in the day. I thought it was a very poor
hated hover mode.
implementation of something they wanted to get done, and I think this, hopefully, along with the heat system rework, will be a little bit better. Jorunn, what's something that you think is probably most important for them to focus on after server meshing?
I got a lot of thoughts on that. I want to mention a comment in chat by Hammer VK talking about base building. That's something coming in the distant future after persistence and server meshing and more places. And there's so many things that are coming, and I don't think they can really start building out. This doesn't really start building the real game until after we get persistence and server meshing and at least 2 more star systems. There's so many things that they have to build on, just the fundamentals. We really have such a limited, like Mike says, there's almost nothing in any of the careers currently, and you can do a lot of different things, you can test a lot of different things, but there's no real careers even started yet. And CIG's pretty much said as much. I mean, they said recently that cargo, and they have nothing planned for cargo until they have multiple star systems where they can really implement their bigger picture for cargo. So that's 2 to 3 years down the road. Salvage will start coming in a little bit, but that's going to be very preliminary. Medical gameplay is still very preliminary. I don't think we really are going to have much of that until we have the Apollo coming in, which I think we really need to have for Pyro. May or may not happen next year. And there's so many more things that we need, and we probably are not going to have server meshing and Pyro until late next year, optimistically. So real progress on building these things out isn't even going to start until the following year. So that's not 2023, that's 2024. So that's 2 years away, and that's starting. And then that's going to be a year to 2 years to start building these things out. And these kinds of timelines are incredibly uncomfortable for humans, where we want our Amazon delivery tomorrow. And if it takes 2 days, I am pissed off. If it takes 3 days, I'm just gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, Jorunn, I wanted Star Citizen
so
next year.
fast.
You're supposed to be my optimism today.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
2 years, man.
and that's part of where I've adjusted my messaging over the past year,
As we all have had
to
to.
2 years.
Yeah.
And I am still just as hyped in the long run. I'm still just as excited about what we have now and watching every patch coming out. But in some ways, this is a lot like the 2.6.3 days that people really just totally lost the patience for. We have so much more to do now for people that enjoy what we have, but for people who want more, it's going to be a long time before we get those things, and it's going to be hard. So I sympathize with Mike. I sympathize with Grumpy. I mean, the things that you guys want, you've been waiting a very long time for, and CIG did not manage expectations well for a very long time. So yeah,
It's debatable if they still are.
I
Right?
was
With
gonna say 318.
I think they've gotten significantly better,
They've gotten
but
better.
it's still a very difficult line for them to walk, to talk about things that they're working on, things that they want to get to, when they are not 100% certain exactly how long these things are going to take. And like with the adjustment to the roadmap earlier this year, where they're not going to promise anything on a patch.
That's the best thing they've
6 to
ever
9
done.
months. But you were upset when they first did it. and
No,
everybody in the
not at all.
community.
I was
I
was not. I
thought
was
you were a little-
completely behind
when-
it. I defended it to no end
Okay,
at the disrespect from my community for it. They got pissed off at me because of that. I backed that to no end. If anything,
good for you.
if I had any influence, I influenced that. If that's the only thing
Yeah.
I've ever had influence on. But
Yeah,
yeah, the
I-
only
I
thing,
think-
if I could jump in, the
Yeah.
example you gave with Amazon is a little bit off because it
It's
would
an
be
extreme.
no, it's like because what's happening to us is as if you got the text to say your package was out for delivery and then it never showed up for 2 weeks, and they were like, "Oh, by the way, your package is going to be late."
Ah, that's happened to me. I hate that.
That's the experience we have. Not the
Yeah.
I'm upset because I didn't get it right away. I'm upset because it was communicated to me that I would probably be getting it at this time, and then
Yep.
it just never showed up at the door. And then when I messaged customer service, they never said
didn't
anything.
answer.
Yeah, because that's how CIG
They
works.
said, "Go find it."
Yeah, that's probably accurate in the past, but they've gotten a little. I think they've gotten better, and there's always room for improvement. And I don't think they'll ever really be able to make everybody happy with this, because I don't think they are
And they
able
shouldn't
to
try.
project. Well,
They
they keep the big problem is they keep trying.
Yep, they shouldn't try. They should focus on making the game and focus
Exactly.
on 318 and PES and all those things.
Yeah.
Like,
But-
to be honest, like I said that like my thing would be to be a bounty hunter, go to a distant galaxy, whatever. But I don't need that. Like I really don't need that. At this point, I just need more things, more like salvage, like other gameplay loops, something that's gonna like be different. Because
something
like
to take your
in
time.
the past, yeah, in the past year or so, I don't know if they added like except maybe medical gameplay. Like, did we get any other game loops or anything? If you can even call medical gameplay a gameplay. Like, everything is still the same. In the past year, 2 years, whatever, maybe even more. So, for me, I just want to see like more of that, like just more of different things to do in the verse.
What do you guys think? Not to insert a different topic that it may not be on Tomato's agenda, but what do you think about these dynamic events that they're putting in, like Xenothreat, like Siege of Orison, Jump Town? Do you guys, and are these good things for CIG to be doing? Have you enjoyed these?
Siege
Yeah,
is
because
dope
of
when
how
people
well
ain't
they work out.
abusing it.
You know what the
Siege is
first
dope.
dynamic event is? Security Post Korea.
Yeah, man.
That's the first true dynamic event.
Yeah.
When it first
You
went
go
in?
inside, you trigger the box, you make it come out, it creates a mission for people to come and kill you.
Yeah.
It is the first player
Oh.
triggered event.
Oh,
that
that
is
what
actually
they're planning
dynamic.
to
It's a
do.
good point.
Yeah.
They're planning to. Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
What was
think that's
the,
pretty cool. I think it's all just fan service to keep us going until they finish the work they actually have to do. That's taking as long as it is for whatever reason it is.
It's stuff to do.
The
Stuff to
events,
do. Really fun.
the events are definitely. I'm mixed on them because you can see that the system itself is going to be great for real events, but yeah, the ones that we're getting right now they're still basic. You know, get these boxes, ship them here, kill everybody who's nearby. They're definitely missing a narrative aspect to them, and it kind of reminds me back of the Miles Eckhart mission, the first one we ever saw that they did. I think it was 2016 when they did the whole mission on Delamar, and that had like
satellite.
I just remember it ending where they had to go down on the ground and like take ground vehicles into a base or something, and then they got ambushed there at the end. That's kind of like a bigger scale of that, something that's multi-part and has different kind of options to it. And I feel like Siege of Orison was the first one that they really did do that. But even then, I didn't get to experience too much
What
of the
about Xenothreat?
branching. Xenothreat kind of, but Xenothreat's really sort of a one area, one objective kind of thing. Get these supplies from these ships and bring them back to this ship, and then kill everybody.
It is kind of a three part a three part event, and the first part's very different from the other two parts. and it really and it gave a non-combat aspect for people who wanted to do some cooperative gameplay. I thought that was probably one of the best things. Even and I still like that almost better than Siege of Orison. The Siege of Orison is basically just running through and just like killing a bunch of NPCs and just enjoying those amazing sets that they created. Whereas Xenothreat, I mean that whole cooperative gameplay and strategizing, okay, well, what ships you're going to use? Are you going to split up the different quantum sensitive versus time sensitive cargoes using your tractor beams? I wish they ran that more often. I mean that's I think was great for an early iteration. I want to see more building on these sorts of things. I think it's a great foundation to start with.
It was a
Xenothreat was a good promise of things to come, where you have like these different, I don't know, parts to the mission. I would like to, in the future, I'd like to see it fleshed out a bit more than it is. I mean, it's a good start. I love where it's at right now. You know, we always want to see things go further. But I didn't know it was going to be so doom and gloom on that one question. You know, he was asking people what they want. I want some green women. How about that, man? Where the green women at? Can I get my Kirk on?
I didn't know
That's
if
what I want
there were
again.
green women planned for Star Citizen. Xi'an women?
Yeah, give me some.
How about just better female hair?
Yeah, we could use
Oh
better
man,
hair.
hair is a whole nother thing, man.
After server meshing CIG, we want hair. All right?
Yeah.
4.1,
Look,
hair.
can I get these beautiful curly locks up in there, man?
Me and
some
Grumpy
beards,
are
too.
like,
Yeah, what hair?
what hair?
they have to give us
Well, at
good
least
varying
beards, then.
degrees of baldness too. I want a slider for how much hair am I missing? How many of them are gray? I want to get
Yeah,
real.
we have to get monkey butt.
I want to get beards. Like, Chris,
Make it
please give us beards. I need beards.
Yeah, beards definitely. Let me get some like super realistic. Let me get some alopecia on top.
Yeah,
where it's on,
and I
got
want
some
them
good
to stick
size,
out
but
of the
top
helmet,
is-
by the way.
That's what I was thinking. Like, man, they start getting complicated
Yeah,
with the
just
beard and
frozen
the helmet.
tuft of
Yeah,
hair out of your helmet.
just stick it out, all crispy.
Somebody chops the
All right.
But to stay on the topic,
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I think that dynamic events are great. I would love to have more of them. I would love to have more of Jump Town, like different places for Jump Town, because we currently only have like the frozen moons and all of that. I would love to see Jump Town in space, which I guess Korea is gonna be. But also, we need the game to work for like Orison to work out and to be good, because like Orison is flawed because of the server tick rate and the NPCs being non-responsive or too
You
responsive.
can't involve NPCs.
Yeah,
You just can't involve them. That's what's
I mean,
so good about Jump
you
Town.
also can't evolve players, because players are gonna like teleport also. And like
Yeah,
the
but
weirdest
it's-
thing that I noticed is that like their prioritization of like what's gonna update on your client is like. So I had a friend and he was running during Orison Horizon, and he was like 30 meters out, but he was like still in front of me, and he teleported later. But I saw him reload and use a med pen while he was there, but he was actually like 40 meters out. So I was like, why isn't the player positioning prioritized over the med pen and the reload animation? So yeah,
Supposedly that was a big patch that they were trying to put in, but it didn't seem to work.
Didn't work.
There was a whole thing in the monthly report recently about location extrapolation and like the
poor guy worked
guessing.
on it for like 8 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that what that was about? I thought that was something else. Bummer. All right, I have another question for you. This one should be good fun. Is Star Citizen as a project getting better or worse in your opinion? Is your confidence in the project going up or down recently? We'll start this one. Dig that. You go ahead and take this.
I probably feel like the developers who have the confidence of knowing, I mean, I don't know the stuff, but they know all the stuff that they got to go through. And they know that, you know, after they execute what they're doing, the project's going to be there. Like, I don't have any, like my confidence isn't growing. It's not going down. it just is what it is, man. I'm just happy to wait, man. I have a great game that I can play right now every single day. Does the project hit some bumps and some setbacks? Well, at least from our perspective, yeah. Because we don't have the roadmap anymore like we used to, but that used to be killer looking at everything getting taken off of the next release.
Yeah, gosh.
But but we don't have that anymore, which is a great thing, like Mike was saying. Because people felt so entitled with that stuff. Like, oh man, you took away the thing I was waiting for next patch. But we've got some equilibrium on that. And so for me, it just kind of it is what it is, man. I stay excited about it. I don't think the project is losing any steam, and if anything, is gaining steam because the technology is starting to fall in place. So yeah, my confidence is still as solid as ever.
All right. Grumpy.
I mean, I can't really like. I'm playing this game for 2 years, so I'm not here as long as you guys are. But I can tell you that like, prior to me buying Star Citizen or getting the first Aurora, from the looking from the outside in, it looked like there was much more progress than it probably was, because I was watching videos from content creators, and I was watching Star Citizen videos. Like I don't know if it was like ISC back then, but like those kinds of videos. And in the past 2 years, I haven't like seen them much progress, and all I see is like ship sales and like more and more ship sales and more like big ships that need like 18 months to finish. And I did a video on that. It would take them like 21 years if they just like built one after another. Of course, it's not going to work that, but like, yeah. And in the end, they keep on saying that they're not releasing ships. In the past few years, they're not releasing ships without their gameplay loops, which is not true. So I don't know. I really can't tell you. Like in the past 2 years, I haven't seen much progress. I've seen things that were like made that weren't right before, so they remade them, and that happened a bunch of times. Like the inventory, of course, we needed a better inventory system. The capacitors, the changes to like the ship combat and all of that. But yeah, like I don't know what you guys did before that, like until like 2020 or 2021. I already forgot, but
we used to get out and push.
Well,
I guess so. Yeah.
I'm curious because I've been a very big voice about the whole ships coming out without their primary gameplay thing, and I've been kind of going back and forth on my judgments of a few of the ships. But I'm wondering in your opinion, which ships have come in without their gameplay?
MSR.
Oh, well, that was before they said that.
Thing.
That was when I remember them saying...
It wasn't. They were saying that in the past 2 years, and it was like, I think it was...
They really said it right before the
long.
RAF, though, Grumpy.
Yeah, the time when they got on
to
camera.
It, and then the RAF came.
Yeah, it was... I think it was Elwyn.
We have it.
No, it wasn't Elwyn.
RAF Centrus doesn't work, by the way.
Actually has any of it.
Is Elwyn the brother?
No, I forgot. Oh, I forgot who it was.
That sounds like a brotherly name.
Yeah. But it was at the beginning of last year that they said it, and that's when I started to track them. So I was wondering which ships you were watching, because
last year, because MSR was released last year, right?
No, MSR was 2019, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
The COVID timeline got you.
Yeah.
The RAF did come out without its
right, and I was kind of I was like, they don't have the crane, but they can move cargo. Yeah, so
I mean, the Mule is also like, it doesn't have its game loop.
The Mule can carry cargo though.
Well,
not at 1 SCU boxes. You can only put the 8 SU boxes into the box.
Yeah. So that's kind of
like,
Jorunn,
you supposed to be with me, David? What's going on here, man? You been a little cloudy over there, man.
Can you move cargo into it?
I'm
I think
all
you
about.
can just place it.
You can drop the small,
you can place the 8 SU boxes up
but
in
you
the up in
can't
the
go
top.
to a cargo terminal.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
In the Mule. Yeah, I don't think so. It
So the
can't
We know
throw
it
forklift
can't
bodies.
pick
doesn't
up
work?
and drop a box. But
You can
we
throw
know
bodies
that.
in the
Yeah.
racks.
Yeah, so like I'm always on the fence about that stuff, but that's why I was wondering, because it is kind of like, if you look at it one way, they're not missing their, like the 400i can technically scan and the raft can pick up cargo boxes, but at the same time it's also like, well, you're still releasing these without their primary sort of
Yeah.
perk.
I think
I
that
was
was
trying to think of the ships that were released.
Yeah, I think that was a classic communication mismanagement. That CIG is always over optimistic about things that they want to do, and the thing is that the art is always just going to keep progressing without necessarily any roadblocks. Ships are basically art. They can make ships. There's nothing holding up building ships. The planet tech, that's pretty mature. They can just keep building environments and things like that. But the fundamental engineering is where all the bottlenecks are, and those they can't control those timelines. And a lot of these things aren't going to come for a long time. So I don't think that they really should have been as optimistic about trying to set that expectation that we're going to try to have new ships come out with their gameplay, because ships
think-
are going to keep coming out.
No, I
The-
think they should not back down on that.
I think they were. I don't think
Should they
they're.
just talk about ships until they have gameplay. Like,
Yeah,
like,
They're
okay,
not,
we're
they're
not
not
gonna
away
absolutely.
from
make
their
ships.
goal.
Yes,
You guys
if-
got
We're not
to
gonna
think
make new
about these ships are in the pipeline already, and so
I-
like when they said that, these ships were already coming. So going forward, that's going to be the rules of engagement. But right now, these ships,
Like
they're
telling
not going
car
to stop
companies-
progress on what's already
Yeah.
about to come out.
But
You know,
for
Like,
instance,
the car companies don't make any more cars until you can do all EVs. It's like, okay, well, it's like
I don't
they have to have a revenue stream.
I don't want to
And we all
see
want it.
I don't want to see the Argo SRV come out without tractor beams, right? I don't want to see the Nautilus come
I
out
was about to
without
say that.
mines. These are things
you're-
that
that would be great.
You're gonna see the Vulture coming out with just the ship hull stripping.
but that's
without the
fine.
launcher.
Thruster.
That's
You
fine
guys
to
are
me.
missing the
It's
whole
it's
point.
better than it was.
You guys are
Okay.
missing everything.
Enlighten
Does
us.
the A2
Preach.
have its gameplay?
Which
I mean,
The A2, it could drop a bomb, right?
yeah.
What does it
It
drop
drop
a
a bomb?
bomb on? Are there any missions where you drop a bomb?
Dude, I
JC.
said that in the video, and you reacted to
Jump
that,
down.
and you were like, "You're wrong."
No.
Jump
No, I
down.
didn't.
It can drop on Jump Town, yeah.
Yeah, you could
Ship
drop 'em on
meetup.
Jump Town. Okay, but hold on. This is where I think everybody that's looking at the project is kind of, in my opinion, I think you guys are missing the point here. Okay, it's just my opinion. That's okay. You could disagree with me. I'm not going to get upset. There's nothing that informs the way you use an A2. There's nothing that informs the way you run cargo. There's nothing that informs the designer of the ship how to make it in the first place. That's why we end up with reworks. That's why we end up with a lot of these things, is because there's no design. There's nothing in the gameplay in a standard game development scenario, which is my understanding, would come first. The ship that would enhance that gameplay would come second. And that's, I think, the issue here more than anything, and that creates frustration for people like Grumpy and maybe myself. I'm not a big deal. I don't find it to be a big deal, the raft coming out or any of those things. I actually kind of fought you a little bit on it, Tomato, when you were upset about it. It doesn't bother me that much. But the real issue here is that and I am going to bring this to an actual positive place, is the reason we don't hear about design and the reason we don't see these things come out is because they don't know the limitations of their engine. They don't know anything right now because they don't have PES, they don't have server meshing, they don't have additional star systems. They don't have the ability to go, okay, this is the box that we're going to build our game within, and here we go. And that's why I just go, okay, let me chill out a little bit and not get too freaked out about these things. And the only thing that I kind of stand on hills to die on are, give us a little something, provide us with things that we can do now with the current limitations of the engine that aren't going to make the experience so bad. But I think this argument is kind of flawed from all of you, because there's nothing that informs the way a ship should work.
But that's not universal. Like, I don't need to be told
Sure
how to
it
use a
is.
tractor beam. It's pointed at
But-
something.
Yes, but does it pull ships? Does it You know, are there ships that you could slow down with the tractor beam? Like there's so much. I can apply this to literally everything.
But
Just
these are
keep
things they've said.
Like keep bringing it.
They've answered these questions in the Q&A.
They could say whatever they want. We've read the Q&A a million times. The prospector's supposed to have a sifter system that doesn't have that.
But it has
right?
gameplay.
They can say whatever they want.
If it like Grumpy said, the Vulture isn't coming in with all of the things it's doing for salvage, but I want it to come in with something it can do for salvage. And if they were to wait for the design of the gameplay before they put the most basic gameplay form into the ship, we'd be waiting forever for the Vulture. But at least we're getting it at this point with something working. But I don't want it with nothing working.
Well, I don't think that the Vulture is going to come out without the salvage gameplay. I don't think the SRV is going to come out without any tractor beams. I don't know how many other ships are really coming out without any functionality at all here over the past year or so. I like the 400. It's my daily driver. I use it for almost everything, and I'm not doing any long range exploration or scanning. It is a great runabout ship, and it's great for running missions. I mean,
I can argue the same point as like Salty said. Like we have the M2, right? We have the Cuddy Steel. Those are like transport ships for troops and for like whatever they're called. Like what was the name here?
Drop ships.
Drop ships. Thank you. So, what are you gonna drop and where?
The Cuddy Steel, the most magnificent question mark in Star Citizen.
I don't know. The cargo decks might have taken that.
The cargo decks.
The good old cargo decks. But yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, Salty, and the idea that a lot of times we get these ships and they don't like mining.
It's confusing to people because you don't know why.
Yeah, the prospector, half of the concept art has it boring into a planet's surface, but like we've never even seen a concept of that or a previs of that, and it's like, well, is this actually what it's going to do? I get that side of it. I do.
Yeah, like the act of using a tractor beam will probably stay consistent from what we have in the game currently, right? The act of mining will probably stay consistent. The act of dropping a bomb will stay consistent. But all the issues that people have with those things, the way you run cargo will probably be fairly consistent. We know that there's some pretty monumental changes coming to that, but still, you take it from one place and move it to another. But all the issues behind it would be different. And that what should inform the way a ship looks, how big it is, how much armor it has, how many turrets it has, how much crew it would need, all those things. And they're designing these things and putting them out, and people are falling in love with these ships. Jorunn's 400i. I've heard Jorunn freak out about things around the 890 jump before, right? But there's so many other things. What? Yeah, but like what it could be whatever. There's so many things that should inform why, like before the podcast, we talked about a little bit of what, like, he wanted the 890 jump interior to look like DigThat's background, which is awesome. It should be that way. But the way they designed that ship, you're not getting that. You know,
depends on whether or not it's modular, and we can go to a store and buy another interior, and it's like, oh, here's a whole new interior for $300. Like,
that'd
that'd be sick. They'd be sick, but they've already talked about the way they build the ships. They can't do it, right? Because they tried it with the 300 series, and they were like, well, this doesn't scale. The modular interiors and buying certain things for them and stuff like that.
Not the way that they did it with the 300, because that was done on the website, and they said that was a far more complicated task than they felt. But putting these things in game is still the plan, and John Cruz said that they still plan on making a lot of modular.
They did that in the last Star Citizen Live.
And then also with persistent entity streaming, they were talking about doing away with item ports, because you can set anything anywhere and it's going to stay wherever you set it. So like the coffee maker,
yes,
they're not going to have an item port for that.
But that's different than having a library in your ship that doesn't exist.
But they have talked about having modular interiors, modular rooms. That I've actually been really surprised at how much they've been reiterating. That's still a very strong plan in a lot of ships. John Cruz talked about that several times here over the past year.
Stripper pole in the Merchantman. I'm calling it.
I'm so iffy about the idea of modularity in the ships.
Me too.
I don't know how far they can push that.
They're just talking about your Retaliator and the ones they've already promised it on.
Yeah, the Endeavor.
I hate using the word promise, but yeah, the
well,
ones that they used.
Well, it is promised for the Retaliator, and
Sure.
and that's part of the holdup of releasing it, is that the person who's supposed to be working on the engineering for the modular interiors, because of all the other complexity, yada yada, about how it ties in together with the power systems and the piping and this, that, and the other. Well, that guy's working on something for server meshing, so that's on hold indefinitely. It's like,
Cool. I mean, you can read the monthly report to me over all you want, but I hope you get your modularity and your 890 jump. But like you tell me to, or you tell others to, I don't have those expectations, and I hope you get it. But I don't think because they said anything, you will.
Yeah, I don't expect.
Can I jump in for a second?
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
So the promises. If you look at the brochure of the Cuddy Red, you will see that the Cuddy Red is supposed to spawn people. That's all that I'm going to see. It's on the website. It's on the brochure.
Oh, you talking about the old plan?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, the old info.
It's
still there.
Old BMM. Like, where is my pointy ass BMM at?
No. I'm talking about the Cuddy Red.
I mean,
so the Cuddy
dude,
Red
Cuddy Red is a
people.
Cuddy
was the
Red's
old
an
plan.
example where
Yeah,
I mean, you could
I'd
call
have
it an
to
old
see
plan all you want, but somebody spent money on that thing thinking they were going to be able to respawn on it.
But it's a concept, though, man.
No, it worked, but after concept.
I think they
talking
launched
about
it with that, right?
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
No,
remember.
we're talking
you
about
were
the
never able
colors
to
red.
spawn in the Cuddy Red. Is
No?
that what you're
Okay,
saying?
that's not true. That's not true.
You can go
Whoa.
and look up the brochure on the website, and you'll see that you were.
Are you talking about the med beds?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought you could spawn on the Cuddy Red when it first came out.
You absolutely could when it first came out.
For like a year.
Up until
two.
medical gameplay came in 3.15, I believe.
You might be right.
Respawn.
You might be right.
I
Now that I
am
think
right.
about it, we might have did that on our Saturday events.
Yep.
It's only ambulance.
In
tier
fact, we
3.
did. You're right.
But if you go to the website, if we're talking about promises on the website, the brochure says that you can spawn in it.
Oh my
And
gosh,
that's it.
we could talk all. We could do another podcast on the website. Jeez.
Yeah, but what it comes down to, like with Grumpy's thing, is they're going to reserve the right to balance the game in any way they want, and
Right.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
I don't see getting upset about those things necessarily, but at the same time, when you are selling ships, that is a slippery slope because somebody paid money for that thing and then got a different experience than they were expecting completely. That is like one of the most egregious examples. 90% of the examples, it's not like that.
Yeah,
right?
So you're saying it's
a minor tweak.
Bait and switch. I don't think a concept can be considered a
It's
bait
not-
and
It's
switch
not a
because
concept.
it's a concept.
It's not a concept that was in the game. That's the difference here. This is like one of the only examples that's like really bad.
I'd have to see the specific phrasing on the brochure. I'm gonna go look for that.
Yeah, I'm gonna link it in the Discord.
Yeah.
You'll see it.
Pull it up, everybody in chat. Get it up on your screen.
If you
Listen,
bought a
these
concept,
guys-
what's a Tesla truck, and it's not exactly as you got it, they will look at you and be like, "Yo, that was the concept." When we actually put the production model out, of course, there's going to be some changes.
Yeah, but this would be like an example of it not plugging into a plug. Like it doesn't do its most important thing.
I mean, if they let
Why
you test
you bought
drive it and it didn't have
If
a
it didn't have
feature
a
when you were test
battery.
driving it, I can see that. It does kind of hinge on the idea of was it in the game or not. And the point is, it wasn't about the ship necessarily getting balanced. It was about the gameplay that the ship was involved in getting balanced. And that's going to happen to so many ships when we start to get things like the damage map working, when we get the resource management stuff working, when the new aerodynamic control surfaces with the flight model. There's so many things that are going to add to this game that completely change the way ships work. That's part of the kicker. That's part of why you should not buy into this game with these big ships if you are buying into it for those ships. You never know what's going to happen. A gameplay aspect might just not work in the future, and they have to change
Everything's
something.
subject to change.
Yeah, and
for sure.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
the slippery
absolutely
slope.
with you, Dig, on like the Carrick engines. Remember, people were upset when the Carrick engines changed. Like concepts are going to change. I'm with you 100% on that, bro. It's just when it was in game, it was a certain way. People did spend money on that, expecting it to be that way. I can see why they would be a little bit upset. But I think we heard what I said earlier. Things change. It is what it is. That's going to happen sometimes.
Yeah.
But that was one of the more like oof.
I'd be more concerned about the actual verbiage of promises in a concept ship for its role, because as I always tell everybody, it's like, don't buy for like what something is performing at right now. Don't buy for its specific looks until it's actually in game. Things are going to change a little bit. It's going to stay
100%.
true to its overall design intent. Like the 890 changed tremendously from its original, but it's very true to the original. The Cutlass, I mean the Carrack changed a lot from its original, but it's still very true in its overall design. The Cutlass Cutlass Red, when it came out, there was an article where I think it was John Crew was actually talking about the various kinds of tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 medbed capabilities. And in that, they were saying that the tier 3 and the Cutlass Red is really just an ambulance to get you to a higher tier medbed. Not everybody read this, in gaming magazine article somewhere. It's like with everything else with CIG, there's so much information in so many different places. Almost nobody can follow all of it, and it can be a little confusing. But if there's a specific instance in the Cutlass Red original concept saying that it's specifically a respawn or regeneration, I don't see it in the brochure currently. The Car2All being sold as a 2-person ship versus a 1-person ship, that was a pretty big deal for a lot of people at the time. But I haven't seen too many other completely changed role.
Redeemer maybe, but that's still kind of not that big of a deal.
What is it? The Redeemer not
I think it was
have
a drop ship to a gunship.
Yeah,
from,
there used to be a drop
from the
ship
thing.
concept.
Not a big
Was it
deal
really?
again, but
Mhm.
But
I didn't know that.
that's actually one of the plans for modularity for that down the road, potentially. So that
Overall,
lower body could be changed.
overall, it is a possible problem, and I think CIG deals with a lot of possible problems in the way that they run this game and the funding, and it's just the kind of things that they really need to be careful about, especially when we're talking about things like ships coming into the game without their gameplay. But we're running pretty long here, so I've got one more question to ask you all, and this might be the most divisive in the community as of right now, but I want to know, what are your thoughts on Squadron 42, the importance of it, and the lack of updates on it? And for this one, Jorunn, we'll start with you.
I think it's incredibly important because it was one of the original promises that a lot of people in the community are here for specifically, but I think it's a far smaller percentage of the community now because everybody's coming for the persistent universe. I want to play it. It's not a big thing for me going forward. It's incredibly important for funding. They have to get it out to be able to have enough in the bank to stay further ahead. I mean, we're doing fairly well on funding, and everybody's saying it's like, oh, we've got $500 million in the bank, and so they've made more money than any other game has ever made, and blah 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 blah. Their overhead has increased as much as their funding. So, and they've got 800 employees with 5 studios around the world with plans to double in size. And I don't see funding from the persistent universe growing at the same rates as their plans for growth are, and for all the things that we want in the future. I think it's important, and to bring the devs back to what more of us want, as opposed to being so focused on Squadron 42 as their big priority. Although only 1/3, and Jake confirmed in our Discord the other day that only 1/3 of the teams are exclusively focused on Squadron 42. 2/3 of the teams are either PU or shared tech that's used in both Squadron 42 and the PU. The fact that they don't give us much updates other than the monthly reports, it's difficult for a lot of people. I understand their feelings about, they don't know how to share at going much more than they already have without spoiling the big release. It's a tough one.
The dreaded spoilers. All right, Salty?
I'm glad you came to me next. The thing behind Squadron and the monthly report is what's nice about it, or not, yeah, the monthly reports, is that you are going to see the progress with it if they do it right. They are going to be able to show it if they do it the way we think, they're going to do it. This again comes down to a lot of their communication versus their actual actions. But the idea that a lot of my favorite comment was, yes, 1/3 of the teams are exclusively on Squadron 42, but how they're wording that and getting around that is, what's going on, Jorunn. You know that probably 2/3 of the teams are working exclusively on Squadron 42 right now, but they're going to push that into Star Citizen at some point, right? So they can use that, they can word it that way, they can make it seem that way, but most of the teams are working exclusively on Squadron 42 content. Even the flight experience team priorities have changed towards Squadron 42 because they have to. It is what it is.
But that is literally identical tech between Squadron 42 and the PU. So anything they do
Yeah,
there
of course.
is for the PU. So it's not like
they're literally in the same
away
build. I
from-
understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't have to explain it to me. I understand. But the
community
difference
doesn't.
is, the community it's not that they don't understand. It just comes down to what we've been talking about the entire time, which comes down to pace of development, right? So now you have a team like the vehicle experience team that was going and iterating slowly on things, and they were, they even made an ISC about the steps they were going to take on that, and then they had to pull back because now they're going full board on Squadron and making sure that the flight experience there is up to snuff for probably somewhat-ish release or a beta or something like that level. So now we're not getting any updates on the things that the ship combat players would have liked, and now they're freaking out. And there's examples of that with many things. The actor status team went over there, right? All those things. And
Moby-Glass.
Yeah, Moby-Glass, UI, literally everything. Remember, they showed us all the new manufacturer UIs. All that went to hell because everybody went to Squadron 42. So I played Wing Commander games. That's what brought me to this community, was a mix of Ultima Online and Wing Commander games. Chris Roberts was a part of both projects. Many people that work at the company that are high up in the company now all worked on those projects, or they were high up in the company the entire time, at least in Austin, worked on Ultima Online. So like all these things are things that brought me to the game, and I accept where we are now. It's just frustrating. It sucks.
Yeah.
And it's the big kicker for me is 318 is the first bit of content from a team that moved from the PU almost exclusively over to Squadron 42, which is the actor status team. And we've barely seen any of it. We've seen one little update on ISC for the handheld salvage. So now we'll see the standard that Squadron 42 is at, and the promise, for lack of better word, was that these teams would move over to Squadron 42, and the standard of the content coming into Star Citizen should improve because of that.
The big test.
318 is a big deal for a number of things, and that's one of them for me.
And you're talking.
They said that before the inventory system, right?
Yeah, but the inventory
They said that
system
before
wasn't.
the inventory system, but the inventory system was already in progress. So that was
Okay.
This is the first thing that they moved over to Squadron 42 to work on, and then we'll come back. This is the first step that you will see that.
Yeah.
And that's where we can determine whether this, you can't say determine whether it's working or not, because it's the first thing, but you can get an idea for what they communicated versus what they do.
That's a good point.
Which sometimes are different things.
I mean, it's never gonna work because, like, I don't know, like, it's the same with the inventory system. I'm pretty sure that like Squadron 42 has a better inventory system that like Star Citizen does, because you can't really do the same stuff for a multiplayer game hosted on a server as you do the stuff on client-based games. So
the guy. The inventory system guy, the guy with the mic that's like in his mouth, like right here, he's like talking like this too. He's on the actor team.
Okay.
So that's where it's like priorities changed, and they just left it, and they left us to suffer.
Oh yeah, the inventory guy. Yeah, yep. I was a little concerned when they mentioned that on the Star Citizen Live or Inside Star Citizen a month or two ago, and I said like, well, yeah, we want to get you that choose all or multi-select, but the guy, or the team
priorities,
the guy is working on Squadron 40.
He said bye. I'm
don't they
answering the
have more
call.
than one guy that can? Don't they have more than one guy that can do this? Out of 800 people, they need more engineers.
Now they're
And
just building ships, man.
they
Yeah.
all they care about is only ships. They're not going to do anything else. That they're going to ignore everything all of you guys want.
That's what I'm really hoping that.
My-
Sorry, just an interjection. I'm really hoping that some of
Yeah.
this big stuff they're doing in terms of engineering, server meshing, PES, the things that support it, free up a lot of engineers after they've gotten to a good spot. Because we've heard about like these teams of literally 18, 20 engineers on this single task. I really do hope that we start to see them branching out into some of the other gameplay aspects. If that's the way that I don't know how game engineers get passed around, but I do hope we start to hear more of them working on a wider breadth of stuff after this next year or two. Sorry, go ahead though, Grumpy.
Town bicycle.
No, I just wanted to say that like my issue with like the monthly reports for Squadron 42 are like the main issue is that like we can see or like they can tell us what they did for that month, but do we really know how much is left? Because we have no idea if Squadron 42 is just around the corner or it's going to be released in 2 years or 5 or 6 or like is it going to be a copy of Star Citizen and what Star Citizen is going to be? But in single player or like we
do you
have
want to play Squadron? I mean, you may want
I
to,
don't.
but do you really focus on the PU?
Yeah.
Then just read the monthly report and focus on what applies to Star Citizen.
Yeah, but the issue is that Squadron 42 is like slowing down the progress of Star Citizen. So that's why I'm asking.
Allegedly. So this is like, again, we're 318. We'll see if it really is. Did it slow it down, or did we have? Oh, when did it happen? It was a long time ago where they were like, all right, we're going to switch the way we're doing things for a little bit. And then we went into this lull, and then you started getting more consistent content. Things like at 315 and 316, things did start to get better. And for me, this is like another make or break scenario where the decision that they made either worked or it didn't when they come in, and the quality of the handheld salvage mechanic is either the same tier 0 crap that we have now, or it's a better, like, in basically this cannot be tier 0. It can be tier 0 because it doesn't have any like economic purpose behind it, but it cannot be tier 0 because they communicated it would not be.
Right.
So they
as
set the
far as being
expectations.
buggy and non-functional tier 0,
Buggy and
or just
non-functional.
being very superficial.
So buggy is a guarantee, right? We know there's going to be
Yeah.
bugs with things. There,
Yeah.
we can't deny that would happen.
Yeah.
There needs to be more depth to it. So think of mining when it first came out, maybe to where mining where it is now. This should come in with more depth than maybe the handheld mining would be.
A little more polish.
Yeah, more polished, more to it. So let's use the inventory system. If they went to the inventory system to Squadron 42 first, it would come in with a move all button and a couple other things. It would still be simple. It would still be not completely finished, but it wouldn't be missing like the core basic features that you would expect to be there. Is the expectations they set for me. Like I know Jorunn and Dig, you guys have talked a little bit about expectations and keeping them low. They set them at a higher bar specifically on this subject. So I have a higher expectation.
That's fair.
And I think it's fair to have that for this.
They definitely,
and I will be critical if it's not.
Yeah, they came out and said we are focusing on making sure that these are maybe not necessarily finished product gameplay elements, but they're definitely going to come out in a way that you'll notice a quality increase. That was the whole that was kind of the justification for what they were doing. So now, yeah, I agree. It's time to see if that.
What does quality mean? Hard to say.
Right.
But I do expect
I have low
bugs.
expectations.
So Squadron 42, who would I think we're waiting on DigThat and Grumpy. You guys, what's your take on the game and what it's doing to Star Citizen and how it's going?
I mean,
Go for it, Grump.
yeah, I mean, I already said it. Like, I really don't care about Squadron 42.
Yeah.
It's nice, I guess. When it's released, I'm gonna play it. But like, that's it. I'm invested in Star Citizen. I don't really like the fact that they're like developing Squadron 42 from the money that's being taken for, like, they're selling ships for Star Citizen, and they're like making another game. To me, that's just like bonkers. But like, I don't know. I've said like most of it already. That's it. So dig that. Just take it away.
You know what? You would think that after that I would have some like really profound stuff to say. I don't. I'm gonna play Squadron 42, and that's about the gist of it. I don't keep up with any of the news on it. I don't look at. I don't keep up with it. It's something that I'm really anxious to play. Not anxious, but once it comes out, when it's in my hand, then I will care about Squadron 42. Other than that, it's not something that I probably won't do any content on it. It's just something I'm gonna be ready to play.
Mhm.
Is it important
Yeah.
to Star Citizen? I don't know that it is, man. I don't know, because like all the news and everything is about Star Citizen, right? It's Squadron 42. I'm not gonna say it's a footnote, but it's just something that's like a bonus for most people, right? We paid our 45. Well, when I started, it was like $45. You got Star Citizen and Squadron 42, or maybe it's 50.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You were
But now
right.
is
Yeah.
what is it
Yep.
now? Like 60 to get both?
60 both,
Yep.
yeah.
So it's kind of like a bonus right now. So it's dope that it's coming. I'm gonna spend my. You got to take these breaks from Star Citizen. That's going to be a great place to take a break. Starfield is going to be a great place to take a break and get some narrative, between Starfield and Squadron 42. Other than that, it's just not in the front of my. It's not in front of me, but it's going to be nice to play. I'll say that.
There is one thing that I would add. I like made a video about this, so I don't want to like repeat myself. But there is an issue with the whole thing. Like, first off, it needs to be amazing. Like Squadron 42 needs to be amazing for Star Citizen to like survive. At least from my point of view, and you can like
Really?
disagree with me if you. Yeah, because like if it's a buggy mess, if it's a mediocre game, everybody like it's been in development for like 10 years now.
Yeah,
or,
that's a
or
bad look.
11. It's a really bad look. And then like Star Citizen is gonna have some issues. And if it's a great game, well, they're gonna make sequels, and you don't know how many. So they're maybe still gonna focus on Squadron 42. So
Mm.
that's
I subscribe to that a little bit. I don't think it'll live or die by Squadron, but I do think that Star Citizen can get put on life support if Squadron comes out and it's not impressive. I kind of look at them, Squadron and Starfield is a weird one, but I kind of look at them in similar ways. In that Starfield to me represents a chance for this genre of games to get like a beacon out there to the rest of the gaming community and say, look, space games are finally the technology is finally at a place where they can build convincing and interesting space games, and we're willing to put money behind it. And it's kind of like that proving ground for games like Outer Wilds, Outer Worlds, No Man's Sky, Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, Space Engineers, all these games that have aspects that can build off of the hype that Starfield could create. And I think that Squadron, to me, represents a similar thing to Star Citizen in that you were saying that it's kind of an extra on top, Dig. I think that Squadron could be the beacon that attracts people to Star Citizen because, big name cast, very fancy looking graphics, maybe possible port to a console at some point in the future, and just a more casual experience being something that could really draw people into the Star Citizen world and say, hey, this was a cool like space campaign, but you can also go out there and see the rest of it. And in addition to that, in terms of the whole life support or success thing, if Squadron comes out and it's not good, I'm worried about the funding for Star Citizen, to be honest.
yeah.
If Squadron
got a
comes out and
point.
it's good, then I think things are going to be looking really good for Star Citizen. But
Unless they want to milk the cow and just like still focus on Squadron 42.
well, that would hurt.
You got a
Yeah.
point, man. If Squadron is good, it could be a fantastic gateway. I don't know. Anyway, gateway drug to get in to draw people into a Star Citizen, because Star Citizen is a bit niche in the whole scheme of things. A strong single player space sim marketing machine behind it, and like the age range would be crazy, man. It'd be people like, I don't know, like 14 all the way up, all the way up.
Yeah,
They play that. They don't want to be done with the whole verse, the whole world, the whole universe of this. What's next? Star Citizen. I think you got a great point there, man.
every age range that plays that game is going to have somebody that they're like, oh, I know them, like from Gillian Anderson all the way to Henry Cavill. It's just
Wow, you dug deep on that one.
I mean,
wait, who was that again?
They've definitely gone and done the hiring for it, but you know, I don't know.
Like, what percent of people do you think that like played Squadron 42 are gonna convert and play Star Citizen after that? Because like it's an MMO, it's a completely other type of a game. It's a grindy game.
If it's like
once you get
2%
that
of people,
I think once you get in that universe,
Blizzard created? How is Riot? What's Riot doing right now? Like I think I agree with I agree and disagree with Tomato and Dig on this one. But I kind of do disagree pretty heavily with you, Grumpy, a bit. Is I think Squadron can only have a positive. Like I do think that on Star Citizen specifically, and where I'm with Tomato is that if it fails, I think the genre of space games will have a sore look at it, and people like, listen, what is the view from the overall gaming audience around Star Citizen? This game is the laughing stock of the gaming community. It is. That is the impression that this game has. That doesn't mean that the game is a laughing stock, but that is the impression that is out there. Okay.
The development.
And yes, the development, but the game as well.
And
anybody who plays it thinks
also
it's
the
a
community,
joke because it's
But,
an
yeah,
alpha, right? So all that said, they're still funding the way they are. They're still successful the way they are, given all of these problems. You think a Squadron 42 failing is going to stop any of that? I don't. Okay.
I didn't say that. I just said that it's going to affect it negatively.
Yeah, but I don't think it would affect it so negatively that the funding would really hurt it and could potentially bring the project down.
I hope
or
I'm wrong
anything like
about that.
That's the vibe that I got from
didn't
what you
say
said.
it's going to break break the project completely, but yeah, like
that was the vibe I got. I'm glad we clarified.
Yeah.
For me, on that topic, it really looks at the expansions they're doing, the new studios, the amount of people they want to hire. To me, it feels like they're expecting Squadron to come out and make a lot of money, and I worry if it doesn't. But you know, I would love to be wrong about it.
I think they're trying to draw in those engineers that Jorunn feels we should have. But I think that's the whole idea behind that.
Yeah, they're trying to hire a lot of people, and they're trying to make the company look as appealing as possible. You look at a lot of their media, and a lot of things that they do, it is to also appeal to bring in new blood, new talent, and also new viewpoints. I thought it was really interesting. I don't know if it was in the virtual Bar Citizen that we did a couple of months ago. I know that we talked about it there, but might have been in some of the shows where it's incredibly important for them to be bringing in new people with new viewpoints. And very often these new, very talented developers will look at something that was done before and say, it's like, we could do it this way and it'd be so much better. And everybody looks at it, it's like, that's a whole new way of doing it, and we're gonna have to scrap this whole thing, but that is so much better, and it's worth making that change. And I for one think they need that new blood, because there's a lot of things that are still, and I think we're always going to have the true direction towards the big picture that Chris Roberts has, but in all the different little ways that they implement that, like in bringing in the new environment team up in Turbulent in Montreal, from all these people from who was the other game company they grabbed a bunch of people from up there that's big on making environments
Ubisoft?
for MMOs. Yeah, Ubisoft. Just in seeing the new environments that we're getting, they're so different from environments that we had before. That, I mean, you can
and they
feel,
come with gameplay in them.
Yeah,
They're
they have missions.
What a breath of fresh air that studio is. It's not
so,
even funny.
So different, and it's like night and day on an environmental on the take on an environment within our universe. It excites me so much about where we're going with so many of these things, and like with Siege of Orison, it's so different, and even though it has its problems, it's so different from anything that we've had before. It shows new ways of looking at things, and a new direction for an aspect of the universe. Eh, I think the like Mike was saying, that even though there's a very negative overall perception of Star Citizen and CIG in the broader gaming community, which is huge, it's bigger than Hollywood. It's one of the biggest industries out there. It's like how
Trillions of dollars.
yeah, it's like hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. I mean, the gaming industry is massive, and we're a tiny, 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 infinitesimally small little alpha in this bigger ecosystem. And that negativity isn't slowing down our funding, isn't slowing down our growth. And as we have more things for people to do and more excitement, we're getting a lot of new people like Level Cap Gaming and Ollie and some of these other folks. And when Squadron 42 comes out, I expect that it's got to be pretty darn good, because they're taking their time and they're not going to release it until it is good. But we don't know until that happens.
never
But
know.
it is going,
Yeah.
If
it,
you've
it
There
ever
is-
is a
played
negative. You said it's a negative perception among the gaming community. I don't think that it is. I think most of the gaming community
to
is more
r/gaming.
confused about what the hell it is.
Go to
Like,
r/gaming.
Oh
what
boy.
kind? Come on, that's Reddit, man. They're confused about what the game is.
Reddit's huge.
Why is it taking so long, and what the hell is going on? Like, I got a buddy who me and him game together for years, and like he never transitioned to PC gaming like I did. And I'll be trying to, every once in a while when I talk to him, I try to tell him about Star Citizen. He's like, "Wait, is that game? Are they still making it? What's going on with that game?" He's like, "What?" He's completely confused, and that's not just one person saying it. That's everybody, if they even heard of Star Citizen.
I think I
Anybody
see.
who heard of
They
Star
have a
Citizen
messaging
that
problem,
isn't a
if
part of it?
anything.
Anyone
Say
who
again?
who knows what Star Citizen is but doesn't follow it much, usually their response is, "That's the game that's never coming out, right?"
Mhm.
Or that scam game.
Or that scam game.
Yeah.
That's
Most
what you
people
hear.
that I know
and
that-
you're right. There might be confused, but
That's the
that
perception.
is the perception that's out there. That's all
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, there's still a lot of that residual out there, and every major gaming article that comes out, they always say it's like, this game has been in development for 10 years with no published release date, and that's always their tagline. Like no matter
Yeah,
how
I mean,
positive
that's
or
these
negative it
idiots
is,
on
they
these
always throw that out there. The forever
websites, right?
development game.
Yeah.
But we're still growing. We're showing much more proof of concept than we ever have had before. And when Squadron 42 comes out, it's going to reach far beyond the people that are exposed to it. And it's still going to be visually stunning. I mean, there's nothing else out there that offers the ability to have fully realized millimeter detail spaceships in one-to-one scale that you can own and fly around, which is what space nerds want. I mean, that's our big obsession.
It
Like,
Wait a
is.
minute, I thought that crypto game had really detailed spaceship-y thingies.
You're getting shut down, Space Tomato. You're about to
Oh,
get
boy.
you're getting a copyright strike
Nah,
right now.
nah,
Good
go
job.
ahead. Go
Hey,
for
I
this
didn't say
guy.
that.
That
I
was
can't remember the name, though.
DigThat32. He's on YouTube. YouTube.com/DigThat.
I'm too big of a target. He only goes after people with like a few thousand subscribers.
Okay, you're good. You dodged that bullet. Well,
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the Squadron
We're all
42
safe.
question, going back to that was kind of finishing us off, and I put out a poll to the rest of the chat just to see what everybody who was here engaging in the live podcast had to say. I asked, do you care about Squadron 42? We had 43% of the vote, that's 20 people, say yes, I care, and it is very important. 24% or 11 people said yes, but it's the same importance as SC. 10 people or 22% said no, it doesn't matter, and 11% or 5 people said yes, but it's not that important. So a lot of people care about Squadron 42. Maybe not more than Star Citizen, even though I'm surprised at how many people care about it more than Star Citizen, but a good amount of people are very interested in Squadron 42. So it's not just a background sort of thing. A lot of people pledged for it, and a lot of people are waiting for it. And I think that's kind of good to keep in mind, because some people think that nobody cares about Squadron 42, and
I mean,
A
if you
lot
care
of-
about Star Citizen, you better care about it because
Right?
it's the only
Yeah.
thing that's informing your gameplay for the next year
Yeah.
or more.
That's true. These are facts.
Indeed.
That's weird.
Well-
How quiet it got after that.
You guys, thank you so much. This was a nice little hot and cold discussion. We didn't get through all the topics, but I think we had some great talks here about Star Citizen, where it is, the goods, the bads of it, the future, the past. And overall, I think I get the idea that everybody here is looking forward to seeing how they kind of solidify the game now that tech seems to be coming along. And more for some people than others, kind of banking their last chance on that. I feel like there's kind of the vibe of, if you guys don't come out with server meshing and start to get the game into a proper playable state or a proper engaging state, then it's time to start looking elsewhere a little bit. Not to point any fingers.
And that's basically my plan. You got to start moving forward with the actual game, or I'll just move forward. It's not that big of a deal.
I think
My money is in and it's gone, and that's it.
yeah. I think
I've gambled before.
more
I'll do it again.
more than ever, even more than 3.0, this is kind of the time where I'm looking at them and saying, your next move is what I'm going to consider the game to be about. 3.0 came out and it was buggy, but it kind of showed me that, okay, they've got like a next step in mind. But after server meshing, I think this is really where it comes down to it. And I'm like, is Star Citizen going to be a thing or not?
Yeah. 4.0 is the single. It's the fork in the road. They can go down the road of obscurity, or they can push to where we all hope they would go.
I guess 4.0 we'll actually see what Star Citizen is supposed to be.
You'll see the potential of it, I think, for the first time.
Yeah,
I don't think you'll see what it's supposed to be. I think they have to work on a
Potential.
lot more things after that, right? But yeah, the word
Yeah.
potential will
Yeah.
actually mean something for the first time, Grumpy,
Yeah.
I feel like.
I think 4.0 will be pretty revolutionary, but I think we're still going to be a long way from really having so many of the things that are planned, even in early implementation.
I think they'll just finally know what they can and what they can't do.
Yeah, that's
They'll
the
know
biggest.
how many players they can put in an area. They can inform all their gameplay around that. There's so much that just matters and is hinging on that stuff. It'd be crazy to design gameplay around a system that you don't understand. It makes no sense. You have to do
There
the
is
system
so
first.
Yeah.
much hanging on 4.0 that they got to bring the ruckus with 4.0. 4.0 got to smack people in the mouth when it comes out.
I don't know. I
Because
feel
if
like it's
it
going to be.
doesn't,
You hear the two people,
it lost him.
Grumpy and I, like very calm expectations.
Yeah.
And well, I guess you too, Jorunn, but Dig, you're like, it can't bring the ruckus on day
It's
one.
just gonna bring more
But the
bugs.
cycle can, right? Like 4.1 and 4.2
Yeah,
and
the
4.3
following,
can
mhm.
continue to bring the ruckus.
But
But I don't know if it's going to bring the ruckus. Yeah,
That
it'll
digit
mean
change
something.
from 3 to 4 is they have to, because if they don't, because like that's what like a lot of people who aren't in the game and they talk to other people, they're like, yeah, but wait till 4.0 come out.
I
And
mean,
people
but-
like, all right.
You
We'll
remember?
see.
You
And
remember
then 4.0
3.0?
comes out, it's got to be heavy.
I think you'll
3.0
see
came
returning
out and
players.
it was rough.
Yeah.
They gotta
Another
fix it
thing
up a
Pause
bit.
around for
Our
3.0.
system, and it is a pretty and just revolutionary change to move beyond stamp and have
Yeah.
a whole new
Yeah, definitely. And I want
And
to.
completely different from what we have.
Yeah, and I want to.
And that's really why I'm kind of wanted to temper expectations, Mike, because we're going to get a whole new star system, but it's not going to be a significantly different game than what
No.
we have.
You and I are on the same page that everybody's like, oh, just wait for Pyro. It's going to be this, it's going to be that. The PvPers are saying it. The cargo haulers are saying it. Bro, there's still nothing that informs the reason why I would go there. Why would I take the risk? Why would I, so there's a lot of other things
Screenshots.
that need to happen.
Ooh,
Yeah,
screenshots.
that's
Dude,
what's gonna
that
happen.
mission,
You're gonna
that they
get-
had in Pyro and Citizen Con, where they
Oh,
went
we're not
down to
gonna
the
get that.
400 eye.
We're not going to get that.
Oh, that mission that they just made up. And,
You don't think we're gonna get that
like
in
all the
4.0?
other ones?
No, we're not going to get that
Yeah.
in 4.0
Why not?
because they made
You
that
haven't
for the
gotten
demo.
any
That's a
mission that they've had
sandworm.
at any Citizen Con ever, except for
That's
the,
basically a sandworm.
I think
Yeah.
we might
Hey, we
get
got
missions at the
Miles
outpost
Eckhart 3 years later.
I think we
Hold
might
on.
get
Let me-
missions at the outpost, but I don't think we're gonna
Let me
get that
crawl
one.
behind an NPC that is scripted to ignore me. Hold on.
I-
You know that mission?
I do want to
That's a
say
big
this. I want to say this because I feel like this is something that gets said often. And I saw it in chat. Somebody saying, "Oh yeah, 4.0 is going to be the big patch for it until it comes out, and then next it's 4.2." There's a tangible, actual difference with 4.0 coming into the game. If 4.0 doesn't make a difference, or rather the technology that 4.0 brings in doesn't make a difference in those couple of patches that are 4.0 or follows it, that is a very, very clear difference from 3.10 or 3.11 or 3.12 or any other patch really not working out.
It just validates the development. It just validates the potential. It validates the development. It validates everything they said. It turns them from this game is a scam into, wow, they're actually doing something. It turns them from they've always been lying, this is never going to happen, to, oh, they might actually be doing it, right? It doesn't mean that in that patch they will do it.
Yeah.
Man, it
it's
feels
a,
like
it's a change.
every time we get some major things, major changes, that it's never good enough for people to say, "Oh, they are doing the things that they're making progress." And like the inventory system came in, I thought that was mind blowing, and then other people was just so jaded. They was like, "Oh, this is buggy." I'm like, "But dude, you actually have some a physical inventory. You have a backpack and pockets and fanny pack and poly pocket in the back." I was like, this is incredible. And people were just so I don't think no matter what happens, everybody's gonna be like, oh, 4.0 is all right. You can go to another system, but they should have been had that there. I'm like, whatever, man, dude. I'm excited about this game.
It's not
You
really
get
the
excited
same
with me.
thing. It's not really the same thing because like 4.0 is server meshing, more people, persistence that we're gonna get in 3.18, and all of that combined it's actually gonna look like an MMO. You're gonna have another system, and like I don't know of any other games except Elite Dangerous that have attempted like that scale of gameplay. But like on the other hand, you're comparing that to the inventory, which like basically all games have. So
Games have an inventory, but they don't have all games don't have a physical inventory. And I'm not saying Star Citizen's inventory is groundbreaking, but it was such a departure from where we were, where we had the magic bag of holding, as board gamers like to say, to where you had a limit and you had to start planning some things. You had to figure out what you're going to do, what's important, and prioritize. It was a change as a complete change as far as how we approach the game to where we used to be.
Yeah,
It
was
was.
great, but
It
you
was.
can't. But at the same time, you can absolutely go. And this is my opinion: a third-person inventory is the single stupidest thing you can ever do in a video game that I've ever seen. It's literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
And of all games to do it, Star Citizen.
Because they want to show off pretty armor and subscriber items that they wanted to sell or something. I don't know.
It's not immersive.
I don't want to make that claim and be that guy.
I'm kind of missing what I'm sorry. What was the dumb part?
Yeah,
okay, the dumb part would be okay, you go down to a bunker, right? And in front of that bunker is a box that you want to open. That box is on top of something. You open the inventory. What do you see? You see the box. You don't see your inventory. You're okay. I've ran out of med pens. I'm hiding in a corner. I got to go get some med pens out of my backpack and put them on my belt, right? All that stuff, I love it. Again, like I agree with you 100%. Okay. Monumental, changed the game in every way. Then I press I, and all I see is the wall that I'm standing in front of. Okay, so the idea behind the way every other game works is they do a third person in a way where they have a paper doll and they have the boxes and all that, but it's not this like camera movement thing where you have your first person camera that you can sort of see what's in front of you. You're not getting an additional view at additional angle that you shouldn't have. Second, third, when you open I, you get the inventory and not a wall. Right, so it's just like all these weird things that don't make any sense, and it's the reinventing
a wall,
the wheel.
As in like the camera is looking at you, and then the wall.
The camera is
like,
in the wall.
If you're
I mean,
every other game you press
nitpicky,
tab. That is not nitpicky. That's
like
not nitpicky.
Let me see if we're talking about the same thing.
You press I for inventory. What do you expect? To see your inventory, to be able to interact with it, or to steal? effing wall. Try not to curse. Sorry.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean, I just spin the camera around. Ain't a big deal to me. But yeah.
But
I
what if
figure
you're in
that's something.
combat?
I do too.
If you're in
And-
combat, you shouldn't be looting.
No, I'm not
No,
looting.
no, no,
I'm,
no.
I'm
Here's-
taking,
If
I'm
you
taking
have
med
to get
pens and putting them on
ammo-
my belt.
or
Here's
ammo.
the difference, guys.
Yeah, same thing.
He's accessing inventory.
Yeah.
Every other
so-
game, bang, I could see it, move everything over, and I'm out. And nobody has any problem with that. Why are we reinventing the wheel when we don't have to? That's all.
I think tier 0. I again, like not being able to grab more than one thing, not being able to stack a lot of things. I mean, if I've got 20 FS9s or 100 P4s, why
That's
I can't
fine.
stack those? All these things. I think inventory needs a tremendous amount of work, and that's that's one of the
But
annoying
you didn't
little
hear me complain about any of those things. You heard me complain about the basic implementation, the tier 0 implementation of it being the camera facing the way it was, where you could have just had a picture paper doll. That's it. But it's all
yeah,
about
but
like
it's,
this
then
immersion
it's not going to
and
be a
these
tier
things.
1. It's going to be a rework, right? A tier 0
Maybe,
rework.
maybe not. Maybe not. But I know Tomato was trying to end this and we went into this
Yeah.
tangent. I apologize. for
Hey,
that.
I'm just trying to make sure not to
Yes.
take up your whole day.
No, you're
I'm having too
fine.
good a time with you guys.
But
This
yeah,
is-
like
this is
I
awesome,
love
guys.
this stuff. It's
Yeah,
just
me too.
that is like if I had a pet peeve in this game right now, it would be that only. That is the single stupidest thing I've ever seen
I
in
mean,
my life.
I
I will die on that hill.
Get this man a
he's
paper
gonna
doll.
lose his salt for that.
Yeah.
I
Just
agree
do
with
what
you.
everyone else does. Why?
I agree with you in the sense that like they are so gung-ho on being immersive, on being interactive, first person, all that stuff, and then the inventory rips me out of the body, and I'm like, that's not at all what I expected from a game like this. Maybe that's the right way to do
What
it.
did you expect?
I mean, I expected something on the Moby class, probably. Maybe I guess it wouldn't make sense if you were just selecting things on the Moby glass because you wouldn't have the animations of putting them on and taking them off. But I guess we don't have those anyways. But when I play Star Citizen, I never expect to be taken out of my own perspective. I play this FPS game because I'm not the spaceship. I'm sitting in the spaceship. I'm sitting in the mining thing. I am actually in the turret of my friend's ship. But then,
There's
I do the
there's a
inventory.
big
Switch
issue
in and
with
out of
that.
third person all the time. Do you not?
No, I try
I'm
not
always
to.
third person.
That's like when we were landing
There's-
during hover mode. I didn't want to switch to third person to land in hover mode, and that's kind of what was annoying about it. Was it took me out of that experience like that.
There's a much bigger issue with that, with like combat, especially PvP. First off, you can abuse the third person camera,
Yes.
and you can like look around the corners, or just like if you know the camera controls, you can just go around the whole place. And the second thing, like if you need to switch med pens or whatever during during fighting with another guy, that inventory is not working. I've died a bunch of times to NPCs, like, and during jump down it happened to me like at least 5 times, like the last jump down.
Clunkiness is okay. I think we can all accept that, but just
Yeah.
a foundational thing that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense is where I take issue with it.
Mhm.
Because other games, like, here's the other thing with what you said, Tomato, is I think we want this game to be as immersive as possible. And what Jared always says, and to use their words, is they'll take it in one direction and then bring it back.
Yeah.
This is one of the things that has to be brought back to what every other game does, because it just doesn't work.
That's fair.
It just doesn't work.
I don't play enough games of this style to know what is a winning design. So when I talk about my own personal preference in that, I totally will take a backseat to what is already tried and true because I've never played an MMO before this. So if that's the way it's got to be done, then so be it.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
guys,
Grumpy, everybody's commenting on your T-shirt.
Who's mine?
we're gonna press I, and we're gonna see loot on the ground like you do in DayZ. Do we like that? Do we
Yeah.
not like that? Like, right? Like, we're gamifying things because it does improve the player experience, and sometimes you just have to accept that that's what's better. They wanted to go like the use route where everything you press use on, you look at your armor and you take things off and do that, but it's just at some point it takes away actually from the game experience instead of adding it. You can have this incredibly immersive experience, but the only way that works is if like you're just making a VR tech demo and walking around a space universe or something. If you do want to actively play the game and competitively at all, and I don't mean like esports, I just mean at some
Esports
level
inventory
of,
management.
like I just think they have to bring it back at some point, and that's where I'd like them to bring it back. I don't know.
That's fair. Well, I think
Everybody's
that's
feeling grumpy not to be grumpy.
I think that's a good spot for us to stop on. I mean, I would love to talk for another couple hours, but this already has been an amazing conversation. I think I did the whole outro, so I won't talk about how great everybody was for this, and thank you for the balanced perspectives, man, and everything. No, it was serious. It was a good talk. Before we get going though, why don't we go back around once again for anybody who came in late and let everybody know who you are, or I guess you don't have to say who you are, but what kind of content you do and where they can find it. We'll start with you.
Start with me again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm SaltEMike, and I don't make the content I want to make right now. I love doing these like podcasts and stuff, but I hate talking about the game's development and all that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about like game systems and stuff. So right now I do like a weekly news video about what's going on. I do enjoy that because just kind of updating on what's going on keeps me up to date. Do a podcast similar to this where we talk about stuff, and on stream I just chat, but the game is the background, or I watch other people's stuff and give my opinions about it. That's basically what I'm doing right now. I'd love to start playing the game at a more like min-maxy level and really dive in and go pretty hard.
Spend more time talking than playing.
When it's there. Yeah. I really do. Yeah.
Dig that, please.
Hey, my mic was muted. All right. I'm DigThat32. Reminds me of one time my cousin introduced me to this model. I was like, huh? Oh, yeah. I'm DigThat32. So yeah, that was me. It's caught off guard a little bit. Catch me at youtube.com/DigThat32. I'll be doing something sexy flexy. I don't get into the whole techie specky stuff or analyzing X, Y, and Z. I just I'm out there promoting the game because I love the game and I'm trying to have as much fun as I can have with the game. So if you're trying to have some fun with me, holla at your boy.
All right, who's the next one?
That would be you.
All right. Grumpy Eye, YouTube/Grumpy Eye. Yeah, I cover Star Citizen. I started playing other games now, PCS, Squad, and yeah, mostly like realistic sim-ish games. So if you want to see that content, Grumpy Eye. I feel awkward now.
Cool. Grumpy Eye on YouTube. You don't do any Twitch streams, do you?
Self-promotion's so awkward always, no matter what. It's so hard.
Pretend like it's somebody else you're talking about.
Promote other people.
Yeah.
We should promote each other's stuff.
Yeah, I don't know the links for you guys. I don't know.
Instead of doing the hot ones type thing. Tell them what you got going on right now.
All right, Jorunn.
Yeah, so I'm Jorunn, and I am the Bar Citizen guy. That's kind of my first identity, barcitizen.sc. We've got over 60 Bar Citizen Discords around the world. We've got meetups happening constantly every single weekend. Lots of big regional community ones. CIG is starting to go out to those. Pacific Northwest a few weeks ago, they had 244 people. We've got one in Orlando on September 17th. We're going to have probably 250. There's one in New Jersey coming up end of October. They'll probably have over 200 people. Tyler and Brian Chambers are going out to Seoul, South Korea, and Singapore Bar Citizens here in a few weeks.
Whoa.
And it's just a huge increase in community meetups, and that's my big thing. Is I'm all about the community. Also have a Twitch show that I do as roundtable, kind of like this, every Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern on Yacht Club BC for Bar Citizen. We're kind of a virtual online Bar Citizen hangout where we review the week's news and events. Tweet on Twitter, Jorunn SC or something like that, and Star Citizen Jorunn on YouTube. but this is more my thing than I don't know what I'm going to do. It's when you were saying you want to play the game more than talk about it, Mike. Like, I spend 18 hours a day just talking about development with people all around the
Yeah.
community, and it's like I don't know how
I'm
I'm going to
glad you enjoy it.
yeah, all my orgs between the Jump Club, all the 890 owners, the Yacht Club, everything else.
What are you gonna do when the game actually comes out?
I don't know how I'm going to play. I don't know how I'm going to like. How am I going to run these?
Uninstall it. Fun part's done. We watched the development. On to the next one.
Hey, peer pressure. You're gonna have to invite me to your show. Peer pressure. Peer pressure. Peer pressure.
You need to be on the show. I'm going to talk with T Nice to make sure we get you on.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah, Mike's been on. And Tomato.
Yeah, I've been on. It's a good talk. It's a good group, and honestly, you guys have some amazing what's the word? I don't even know what they're organized. They're very organized compared to what I'm putting on, which kind of we just threw on here and talked. And these turn out great, but I like the way you guys do the times and the windows and blocks of conversation. So thanks for having me on there. And everybody else, Salty, Dig That, Grumpy Eye, thank all 4 of you so much for coming on once again. We do this every month on this channel. It's usually the last Friday of the month, but I did it this Wednesday. But this is Citizen Central, kind of a group podcast that I want to keep doing once a month where we check into the big topics. And I hope you all enjoyed the discussion for today. I'll see you next month. And thank you once again, everybody, for coming. Peace out.
Slide dirty, citizens.
Thanks, everybody. Great fun.
Thank you.
Bye.